night.
Shadows on the skyline,
Lightning in the fight. Footsteps shaking, arenas tonight. The storm is coming. Step into the light. I hear the war drums calling through the night. Fire in my veins, ready for the fight. Wings made of fury cut into the sky. Dreams forging battle will never die. Feel the ground shaking,
Feel the world collide.
a legend rising.
No place left to hide. Hear the battle thunder in the crimson sky. Steel wings rising as the sparks fly high. Stand up, scream loud, feel the fire ignite. This is the moment, this is the fight. Are you ready now? Are you ready now?
Oh, let the chaos roar tonight.
Echoes of warriors carved in the flame. Every scar earned in the heat of the game. No fear living inside my soul. The bell rings loud, lose control.
Feel the ground shaking,
Feel the world collide.
a legend rising.
No place left to hide. Hear the battle thunder in the crimson sky. Steel wings rising as the sparks fly high. Stand up, scream loud, feel the fire ignite. This is the moment, this is the fight. Are you ready now? Are you ready now?
Let the chaos roar tonight. Roar!
Rise up, stand tall. Hear the crowd when the giants fall.
No fear, no lies. Victory screams through the skies.
Hear the battle thunder in the crimson sky. Dreams burn brighter as the flames rise high. Hands in the air as the legends collide. The war begins, no place to hide.
Are you ready now?
Are you ready now?
Let the whole world feel the fight.
Thunder fades,
But the fire remains.
heroes are born.
In the roar of the flames.
The night's alive again, feel it under my skin. Yeah. Something in the dark is calling out my name. Every time the sun goes down, I feel the change. Heartbeat racing like a fire in my veins. Every moment turning pages in the flames. Electric in the air, feel the tension rise. City lights reflecting deep inside your eyes. Lost between the shadows and the skyline glow. This is where the broken hearts ignite the show. I feel the energy burning inside of me. We're gonna set this free tonight. Let's light it up tonight, like a meteor burning through the sky. Won't fade into the night. With diamonds in the dark, we're gonna shine. Light it up tonight. in your chest. Every doubt in my head getting laid to rest. We were stuck in the shadows, living half alive. Now we're breaking through the dark just to finally rise. See the sparks in the sky like a signal flare. Every voice in the crowd saying we're still here. Every scar, every loss turned the spark to a flame. Now the whole world's burning when they scream our name. We were lost in the noise, trying just to survive. Now the sound of the night makes the moment ignite. So we strike like lightning when the beat drops down. Turn the fear into fire when the world shuts down. The energy breaking the chains in me. We're gonna set this free tonight. Let's light it up tonight, like a meteor burning through the sky. We won't fade into the night. We're diamonds in the dark, we're gonna shine. Light it up tonight, let the fire in our souls collide. We won't fall without a fight, so light it up tonight. Your eyes shining through the night, your voice pulling me to the light. My head keeps spinning, the world keeps shifting, but we won't disappear. Let's light it up tonight, like 1,000 stars across the sky. We won't fade into the night. We're burning brighter every time. Light it up tonight, let the darkness finally ignite. We won't fall without a fight, so light it up tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Rudy. Today, at the Big Rudy Show, we got some topic. First, I want to discuss about my second YouTube channel I just made recently. Two, I'm going to talk about open some packs, like an introduction for my second YouTube channel. It all first started. Third, we're talking about Funko Pop, the new updated, and a little special message for my bestie Chef Matthew gave me up on YouTube. And the last final is the history of Ed and Lorraine Warren, because it's part history and horror, and I type of guy like horror. So let's get into that first. Let me make sure. So, I'm sorry. So this is my second YouTube channel. It's called Poke Rudy Show. And this channel is all about Pokemon cards Digimon card that I need to find still. Anime like Demon Slayer and some Dragon Ball Z and Magic the Gathering trading card. Now I barely find out they make Disney trading card games. And I first started collecting Pokemon cards since I was 6th grader when the first pack, the first gen of the first Pokemon. I used to collect them all. I stopped collecting Pokemon cards. Then I went back since 2021 now. I used to collect the set. Then I started going back to school and I stopped collecting Pokemon. Now I follow a couple of YouTubers, The Real Breaking Nate, Pokérath, and Super Danny. They're like the big mainstream of the collecting Pokemon cards. And you know what? They're doing fun and fun for the hobby. And I like to look up also anime and Pokemon growing up in generation. And so far, let's see in the video I just made.
Welcome to the Poke.
Sorry guys, let me.
Welcome to the Big Rudy Show. Welcome to the Big Rudy Show.
So that's it. This is my new second channel called the Big Rudy Show. If you like Pokemon, Digimon, Magic the Gathering, and many more, like I tried to find if they have horror training card games so I can collect them also. So I'm doing it for the hobby that I love. So I try to collect, and also I barely started almost finished the set from Demon Slayer on volume 2. I'm like 79 out of 109 of the complete set. So I'm like 71%. But that one is the hard to, it's like the big hits I need to get. But Demon Slayer training card, they're really hard to find. So I'm gonna look to any car shop, any flea market or swap meet or convention of training card so I can collect the whole set. So so love and peace. If you like any of my content training card, go subscribe to my new show, new channel, the Big Rudy Show. The Big Rudy Show, yeah. Peace and love. See you in the next video. All right. Clip is the clip is the clip. Also, what's next? So right now we're gonna open some Magic the Training card, the Teenage Mutant Turtle. So what? Sorry, guys, I'm not like other YouTubers yet. Getting there. That like work with OBS. They have 2 cameras. Only have 1 camera. one camera I'm using right now, but once school's over, will be a big upgrade pretty soon. Let me see if I can do that without my voice talking, seeing my face. So, I got some Demon Slayers playmat right here. I need to get Johnny Young Bush to sign it. So we're gonna open the first pack, the Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I need to play some music in the background. That's gonna be pretty soon. So we got. I need to have a focus. Let me see if I can hit this. So we got. Sorry guys about the camera stuff. Let me. This is something new. Yes. Yeah, I can't remember now 'cause what work on it does. So let me figure it out. So we got a hollow. Box of pizza. Pizza. So I only got one hollow for magic. So I'm gonna put on sleeve. Yeah, magic name is that I can read very good. So, but I know Pokemon name by heart. And our hollow is Moonlight us with some Saturday music reading. Can we play like songs for like for example for like Pokemon but like 8 bits? Is that allowed? Let me see if I can play some 8-bit music. Let me see. I can play that. Alright, guys, let's do this. Put some Pokemon back in. It's alright if I get copyright. Anyway, I'm not even monetized yet. So we're gonna open some Pokemon cards next. So we're gonna open some Japanese Pokemon cards. So, Japanese cards, Pokemon. There is. We got Mr. Mime. Kofi. Yeah, I forgot his name. Sorry guys, I'm already Japanese. So Japanese give you like five cards. So I buy from $5. Oh. There we go. I hit. Amazing. Alright. I need to check. Yeah, I had to put them in the penny sleeve. Um, this way? And a reverse hollow of where the
Every clip is ordinary, every shot, every angle, until you give it
reverse hollow. This is Japanese, so I can't read Japanese. One more Japanese last. Not yet. So this is the Japanese only give me like 5 cards. So now for the English version, perfect order, the new set of the Pokemon card. Crashing Hammer. I don't know. Fire. Bird. I'm gonna learn new Pokemon name pretty soon. Fudge. Poke and in the reverse hollow. In the reverse hollow. And we got Genji. And we got who? Yeah. Oh,
Welcome to
and the code, if you guys want the code, I'll give it out for free.
Control.
So you can play your Pokemon training card
To
online.
a full website that's entirely yours to shape. Need a new page, section, or a restyle? Ask Aria, your personal AI agent. And boom, there it is. Flow naturally.
Yeah, I need to put some song. Ghastly. Yeah. Reverse hollow. Another reverse hollow. And energy. Reverse hollow. And regular energy. Cold floor. No, what the hell? This is a while we're playing Pokemon Pack. No, I only know the first and Eradicate. On another one. Fire. Pokepad. Reverse hollow. Move on. Again. Yeah, I put all the code. So. The last contact Pokemon card. That's 90. Some weird name. Ghastly.
Every clip is ordinary. Every shot. Every angle. Until you get.
Coconut news. There. Reverse Hollow. Gobble. I don't know his name. Energy. The full art. Thus, you did not ruin the party tonight. That means thus you do not want to smoke tonight. Anyways, so this is the Pokemon opening for today. And I'm gonna switch my camera back to regular. I'm gonna put a song and I'm gonna make everything ready for tonight.
Mr. Rudy, I'm a true real man. Feel it in my motion. Mr. Rudy, in it all emotions. Soft but electric, yeah, I glow up toxic. Feminine fire, yeah, I'm the topic. No one can top it. Pop, pop, rocket. Velvet thunder in a pink chrome cockpit. Digital heart can't stop it. Mr. Rudy, baby, I'm iconic. They say level up, I said which kind? If strength is a cage, I redesign. Gloves on my armor, lacing my spine. Future nostalgia, but make it divine. Dripping in truth, can't nobody fault ya. Kindness loud, but my aura's softer. Velvet devotion, poetic emotion. Masculine myth, yeah, I recompose it. Pretty ghost glow with a tender flame. I don't play rough, I rewrite the game. Binary, no, I bend the frame. Nothing's cute, but I still got aim. You can't box me in, you can't tone me down. Soft is power, watch me with a crown. I'm a true real man, feel it in my motion. Dirty, and it all emotion. Soft but electric, yeah, I glow up toxic. Feminine fire, yeah, I'm the topic. No one can stop it, pop, pop, rocket. Velvet thunder in a pink chrome cockpit. Digital heart can't stop it. Mr. Rudy, baby, I'm iconic. Low voice, calm storm, steady devotion. Pretty deadly with a tender emotion. Sugar and steel in the same devotion. Masculinity fluid, ocean in motion. If love is loud, I'll sing it higher. If strength is silent, I spark the fire. Heels or boots, still walk desire. Sweet but savage, wired on choir.
Future boy glow with nostalgic glitter. Gentle hands, but my spine gets bigger. I don't compete, I transcend figure. Confident sugar, but the bass hits quicker. Hey, Mr. Rudy, are you there? Yeah, I'm right here, crystal clear.
Soft don't mean weak, cute don't mean small. I can cry.
Alright, guys, I'm back and ready. What the hell? Okay, guys, I'm back and ready to go. Sorry, I was working on put everything back together, cleaning up, so I can get my keyboard ready. You know, according to Brent, I'm a keyboard warrior. Anyway, so we finished opening up. What are you thinking about open more Pokemon on Magic the Gathering and many more? See you in the next video. Peace. And so, yeah. So, you know, okay, scene, okay. So lately I've been sending people when they win the free giveaway. It happened starting like late, like November, due to school I have and medical issue I have during November, December, and January. Yes, I follow my. I was in a scooter accident, so my right arm, the writing arm, was swollen bad. So I went to the hospital. Then I've been sending people their package like late, and I'm now like been going to school lately. Finish school next month, so you will get your package next month or end of this month. We'll see what Jeff McHugh had to say. For use.
Hey, what's good, people of the internet? It's Chef Maiku here from Chef Maiku. And I want to give a huge shout out, very huge shout out to Big Rudy Show. Follow him in. I'll leave his channel down there. But shout out Big Rudy Show. I just got my prizes from a drawing he did a few months ago. Got Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston. Once again, thank you, Big Rudy. If you haven't watched his content, it's very good. We talk about Funko Pops, wrestling, horror, a little bit of everything. So come join us once in a while. Big Rudy Show. Thank you. Hey, what's good, people of the internet? It's Chef Maiku here from Chef Maiku. And I want to give a huge shout out.
So, thank you to Chef Maiku. Can you want me to play it? So let people know my promotion. Here's like my downhousing, downhousing from the wrestler. So I like to promote stuff, promote everything what I do. The best mod I have here, he's the only mod. The other two, I don't know what the other two doing. So Chef Maiku, thank you very much for helping me for everything. almost going to be a year and a half. You being my mom and helping me with everything. So thank you to Chef Matthew. And for the chat, type thank you to Chef Matthew for helping me for everything for my YouTube channel. Does it? Is that a McDonald's Halloween bucket meal? That's off topic. Yes, no. Yes, it is. I got that like 4 years ago. I dropped my wallet in there and my keys. So I'll go, oh, I know where it is to put it. Because if I don't put it somewhere, I lost my wallet or my key. I have to look for it. Then I have to clean my room. So I know where the Halloween bucket there for a reason. So yeah. Thank you for Chad Michael for everything. Best buddy I ever have. And you know, let's go to my favorite YouTuber all the time. Skittle and Paige. Hey, everybody know YouTube had to remember to file your taxes. Tax season this week. File your taxes. YouTube remember me to do it to people. So let's get started. What's up? So my favorite YouTuber I watch talking about up and down valley of Funko Pop. It's an announcement coming up pretty soon. Skittle and Pig, big fan of the channel, and let's get into it. Fair use warning to use his content. Fair use.
Lots of new Funko Pops, release updates, new drops, and more. Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. I do hope you're enjoying your day today. So we have lots of Funko news updates to go over today. Really cool stuff. However, I do want to go ahead and ask the question of the day before we get started, which is, do you have a Funko Pop or character in your collection that's a little bit rebellious? And I'm going to go with Ellie here from The Last of Us. Okay, like I said, lots of new things to talk about today.
Yeah, I have a character called Ghostface in my Funko Pop collection.
Today, we're going to be going over what's dropping on Tuesday as well as Wednesday next week. So starting off with some new Biddy Pop sets, we do have Five Nights at Freddy's. This features Freddy. We also have Bonnie there, Chica, and Foxy in the first pack. And then the second...
So, Biddy Pop is a small figure of Funko Pop, that small. I never collected. I remember they used to have a Biddy Pop of Power
Freddy, Marionette, Lolbit, as well as Sun and Moon. And I'm guessing that's like the chase variation of that pack, I guess, or maybe that pack's just a chase. I'm not really fully understanding the whole chase thing with the Biddy Pops, especially when 4 of them have chase stickers sometimes. It's super weird. Anyways, though, we also got a brand new Sonic set here featuring Shadow with the Emerald, Rouge, Neo Metal Sonic, as well as Silver, and the other pack having some more of your traditional characters, Sonic, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles. All 4 of these packs do look really good. Seems like a lot of people are excited. Again, these are dropping officially over on Wednesday next week. Now, a couple more new Biddy items includes the Hidden Leaf display from Naruto. Pretty cool, actually. You can display a lot of different Naruto Biddy Pops, and this pack
Ooh, like a little case for the Funko Pop Beauty Pop. Man, I'm gonna get the Rock Lee or Naruto from the Hidden Leaf.
Pack actually comes with Rock Lee and Sage Mode Naruto. And then we also got a brand new Pokemon one, which features Dragonite as well as Meowth. That's definitely an interesting character choice for that one. And again, these will be dropping Wednesday at pretty
Wow, no Pikachu? I thought they're gonna put Pikachu because Pikachu is the fairy or the Pokemon character.
much most places. Moving on for my horror fans, we got a brand new Ghostface Devil.
Ooh, Ghostface, the Devil Face mask. Only you have to order it in Amazon. Basically, it's an Amazon exclusive. Cause you see it at the Halloween store, like Spirit Halloween. Then there's like a bunch of Ghostface masks, and they have the Devil mask.
Devil face pop here. So basically, I believe it features the same body mold, just a different head mold. It is Ghostface with the devil face and the horns there. So this is actually taken from the Dead by Daylight game. If you're wondering, it's not taken from any of the movies.
True. Day by Daylight. Oh yeah, because all the horror character in it. I had that game, but I never touch it. I need to play it during the summer.
What's very weird about this mold, if you'll notice, the horns are actually different. They're not painted metallic like the face is, which is just a super odd choice for some reason. But either way, it's an interesting looking Ghostface pop. It seems like a lot of people are excited. Some people don't like it. Let me know what you guys think. Amazon exclusive.
Whoa. People, come on. It's freaking Ghostface. I love some Ghostface. Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Expected to drop next week. But, Amazon's super weird with their exclusives, so it could not drop on Wednesday. Now, a couple more horror pops we got comes from Jason Universe and the Pop Movies line.
Oh, Jason. For the Jason Vert, because, let me talk about the Jason Voorhees. Some other one, two owners. One owner had the right from Friday the 13th, and the other owner owned the character Jason Voorhees. And yeah,
variations of Jason Voorhees. We have one holding the machete, and then an Entertainment Earth exclusive.
So you can get Entertainment Earth,
where he has his hands out with the axe in the head. And it also looks like there's a little bit of blood in that spot too, which is a nice touch. Let me know what you guys think about these. A lot of people seem to think like these newer looking Jason Pops just don't look as good as the older ones. Like I said, in like the Hot Topic Scare Fair one, is that what I think that's what that's called? Like with that Hot Topic exclusive.
You, just you, building your app on base 44.
That's where it started, where a lot of people were not liking the new Jason Pops that Funko was putting out. They just keep looking more and more kind of like chibi-esque, if that makes sense. It doesn't necessarily capture Jason's more horror essence, I guess. The older Pops definitely look better, but I understand a lot of people really like these newer ones too. That aside though, let me know what you think about both of these new Jason Voorhees Pops. Will you be picking them up or passing on them? Both.
What up, Geek Zip Podcast? Are you gonna get some horror Funko Pop, the Ghostface or Jason Voorhees? A true collector will get it. Or you're gonna get the Naka action figure one. We'll see.
Of them will be dropping over on Entertainment Earth that Wednesday, but you can also pick up that comment on like Amazon, etc. But that EE exclusive will drop solely there Wednesday. Next up for Star Wars fans, we have a couple new animation pops, I believe, from Clone Wars. This includes Wolf, 5 Arcs 2, Plo Koon, as well as Shock T. And then the Plo Koon and Shock do actually have like glows on their lightsabers, which I guess is a nice touch. It does seem.
Yeah, there's some Star Wars that I like, some Star Wars I don't like. Depends who's in it.
Like a lot of people are really excited for these. You guys know me, I'm not much with Star Wars, so Doesn't do much for me, but let me know if you are excited and if you plan to grab these. Next up for WWE fans, we have 4 new pops. This includes AJ Styles, Mr. Perfect, Sheamus, and Solo. Moving on for Pop Rocks.
Wait. So they have AJ Style. Man, I need to get the AJ Style Funko Pop. Looks sick. The furry forearm. Right. Kurt Angle. No, not Kurt Angle. Kurt Hanging. You got Sheamus, fella. And Solo Sakura. I think everybody have the whole bloodline. I know that Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo. So you got the whole bloodline Funko Pop already. Oh yeah, and The Rock and Rikishi. So I would get Sheamus or AJ Style Funko Pop in my collection.
AJ Styles, Mr. Perfect, Sheamus, and Solo. Moving on for Pop Rocks, we have a new Queen Freddie Mercury pop here with the microphone. And for Gossip Girl fans, we have 2 new pops, including Blair as well as Serena. Next up for Cyberpunk Edge Runner fans, we have official glams finally here. Unfortunately, no official glams for the boxes, but we've already seen those. So you can see closer looks at those details kind of out of box there. You do see Rebecca with both her weapons there. Lucy with her, again, I can't remember what that's called off the top of my head, but anyways, it's all around her. She's very colorful. And then David with his hand in his pocket and a balled up fist. He is so basic compared to them. The 2 girls look amazing compared to him. But
Cyberpunk is the video game. I heard that Cyberpunk, I heard the first one, I heard that there are a bunch of glitches, but I never played the second one, the Cyberpunk one. I remember the cover have the female in it, but I never play any of them.
Either way, overall, it's a good looking set. Excited to see these in person, out of box and all that. And I believe we should be still getting some exclusives, again, dropping Wednesday, so stay tuned. Now, guys, that pretty much covers what's expected to drop over on Wednesday next week around 9 a.m. PT, 12 p.m. EST on most sites like Amazon, Entertainment Earth, places like Toy Temple, Chalice might get bundles of some of these too, so stay tuned. But let me know what you guys are most excited for and what you plan to pre-order. Now, next up, dropping over on Tuesday next week that I want to remind you of, we do have the new One Piece Alabasta.
Nah, I'm not getting... I don't like that to do like the back. I go, why I'm looking people back a Funko Pop. I go, dude, I don't want to look at a Funko and their butt. Yeah, I would pass on that.
Arc set here, including Zoro, Chopper, Usopp, Luffy, Nami, and Sanji there. This is where they have their hands up with the X on their wrists there. So basically, it's a build-a-scene set. These are all Entertainment Earth exclusives. We'll be dropping at 9 a.m. PT on Entertainment Earth's website Tuesday. What I think is kind of funny is they still have them turned around in the box glam. So we have still yet to see what the face molds are. And it's like literally bothering people at this point. That's all the comments I see is like, I want to see their face molds. I agree. Like at this point, I just want to see what it looks like. Imagine they have like no faces. Like they're just...
That'd be weird. I would not pick it up if they have no faces, in my opinion.
Meant to be displayed as is, and that would be absolutely hilarious. They most likely have face details. Hopefully Entertainment Earth will post a glam and we don't have to wait to see in person like out of box looks. Now moving on to 2 other new things that we did get first looks at that should be dropping I think later this month. First up, we have Sakamoto Day. So this features 2 new characters here out of box. Looks like somebody got their hands on some of the pops early, I suppose. So these both look great. And this will be dropping with a full set again later this month. We saw more over at Toy Fair. Now, the other new pop we got comes from Toy Story 5. Yet another one has been revealed, and that is Smarty Pants here. I really like the little good job text. Okay, moving on to a couple other Funko News updates I have for you. So first up, for good job text. Okay, moving on to a couple other revealed at Toy Fair. Now, the other new pop we got...
Toy Story 5. Smarty Pants. Hey, so Toy Story 5 coming up. Some Toy Story Funko Pop are going up in value because, watch, and the movie hit really good. Those Funko Pop will go up in price. watch.
Comes from Toy Story 5. Yet another one has been revealed, and that is Smarty Pants here. I really like the little good job text. Okay, moving on to a couple other Funko News updates I have for you. So first up, for One Piece fans, we have closer looks at that Enel Pop here. Looks like it started hitting Target stores, sharing over from Blaze Flareon, though it's still going to be a pretty hard one to get because Target's not known for chases, I feel like. I don't know. Let me know if you've found a chase over at Target. Have I ever found a chase at Target? Maybe nothing crazy. Maybe something like little low tier. Like one.
Yeah, I never find a chase. Talking about chases, they say in the bottom, like a special edition. I never find them at Target or Walmart. I realized that, remember Hot Topic used to have a bunch of Funko Pop? Now they cut it down to Funko Pop over there at Hot Topic.
Once or twice. I wouldn't say anything crazy. Anyways, though, again, you can start finding them in stores right now. So just check your local stores when you have the time.
So right now, okay, bye guys. I'm going to go buy some Funko Pop. Just kidding.
As well as this one did actually drop early in the morning, I think around like 3 a.m. EST, I think it was sometime around that. And it sold out, unfortunately. However, don't worry, it will be back on Target's website. You do have the in-store drop, as well as Funko will drop it on their website, so you will have other chances. I will say, though, stores like Target and even Funko, it's really annoying that they drop things and like restocks and all that so early in the morning.
In this video, I'm going to be making a 3D game in just 1 hour, but all the 3D assets
for some random reason. I have no idea why they don't just do it at a normal time, because it makes it really hard for me to give you guys proper updates sometimes when I want to, especially on something like Enel here that a lot of you are looking forward to, and it's like dropping when most people are sleeping. Next, for WWE fans, dropped over at Fanatics, we had Yokozuna.
I think Arrow sent me this also. Arrow sent me. So WWE Hall of Fame, Yokozuna, one of the cousins of the Usos, Roman Reigns, The Rock, part of the bloodline, Yokozuna. Yoko. The guy, big dude.
Here with that chase variation. I believe it's still available if you want to head over there and try to grab the chase.
So the white one is the chase version, and the red one is the regular.
Lord of the Rings fans, Denethor here actually dropped yesterday with a 2 limit. It's actually still in stock. Looks like this one wasn't too popular. And even over at Funko Hollywood, they have a ton available. So if you didn't remember about this drop, you still have a chance to grab it. And speaking of the Funko shop, we had lots of new things in drop this week. This included the Binding of Isaac collection with that Funko shop exclusive and chase chance. You also have the Power Rangers Z.
Oh, Power Rangers Zeo Funko Pop coming soon. This week, we got the Gold Ranger, Austin St. John, or the other guy who did the void, or Trifrodia, the triplet. Triplet, the freak guy, I don't know. Rocky, Johnny Young Bosch, Adam, C. Cardenas, forget. Cat, Tanya, and also right there, and Tweety Bird, right there. Tweety Bird. So right there, the kitty, you know. Anyways. So get your Funko Pop Zeo
set, including the black, blue, green, pink, and yellow Rangers, and finally the Looney Tunes sketch set, as well as Patchwork Universal Monsters. You guys can use the link down below to shop the Funko shop and all these new in-stock pops if you want to grab anything. Next up for Fairy Tail fans, want to let you guys know is it looks like the new Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest pops are starting to hit box lunch stores. Looks like the entire collection at that with that great chase, and should follow with Hot Topic stores too soon, and the pre-order should be shipping out within the next month or so. Last update today is on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure here. I actually got another email update that it looks like the Jotaro and Star Platinum 2-pack isn't shipping out until July 6th now, so it's been delayed for a second time. Also, no word on the Dio and World 2-pack from the Funko shop. I'm wondering if both of these have been delayed in some capacity. No idea what the reason is. Amazon just delayed it essentially. Well, guys, that wraps up today's Funko News update video and catches you up on the latest this past week here. Make sure to let me know in the comments below what you're most excited for. And of course, if you have any further questions about anything we just went over today, drop those comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. With that being said, though, I am going to end off the video here by saying a big shout out to all the awesome Patreon supporters of the channel. You guys are amazing for supporting myself and the channel. If you guys are interested and want to check out the Patreon, the link is down below.
All right, what do you think about the new Funko Pop announcement? Will you get the new Funko Pop of Ghostface, Jason Voorhees from our horror fanatics out there, or the Zeo from the Power Ranger line, or the Power Ranger fanatics? Will you get them all? See you on the next video. Like, comment, share. Peace out. All right. I think this is going to be the last one of... All right, let's get started. The main event. On it. Oh, scare me. Let me get... Time for... All right. Let me put it aside. So I've been following this YouTuber talk about horror history called C0. I've been following him but the past 3 years, and I really love his content. Talk about like the history of like Scream. It's more Scream, journal, but it's more horror. Like I would think like Stranger Things, Scream, and history. If you want to check out his page, let's see like what he have. C0. Amazing content. So you talk about more about horror in general, like the history, Stranger Things, Nightmare Before Christmas, the history of Final Destination, the Bloodline. He covered on Tony Todd, like his character, Annabelle, Chucky, It, Saw, Beetlejuice. So like more like the history timeline. So if you want to check out for more content and learn about the history, let's go for it.
It's your boy Richard Sherman, and I'm here to rip some packs and check out box. See, I'm a Gen 1 guy. I can recognize a little.
Ed and Lorraine Warren were...
So fair use and that's it. For use, let me play the movie, the video.
Born 1 year and just a few blocks apart in Bridgeport, Connecticut, a blue-collar factory town built on smokestacks, Catholic superstition, and the lingering ghost of P.T. Barnum, the local legend whose enduring legacy as a world-class showman and host.
And people, if they know who Ed and Lorraine Warren, Cause people know them from the movie, The Conjuring. Great movie. I like the first one. The second one I like. The third, no. Fourth one, it was alright, but it's more about the Conjuring universe, like The Nun, Annabelle. Now that the La Llorona, the Crying Whisper, into the Conjuring universe. Yeah. So we have Ed, Lorraine, and to talk about the history also. And people know about Ed, that he's a predator. To show you more history and a little bit more detail.
Hinged on a simple idea: never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, hyperbole isn't the worst, right?
Edward Warren Miney came into the world first on September 7th, 1926, the son of a hard-nosed Connecticut state trooper who believed in nothing he couldn't touch or cuff with his own two hands. So when a 5-year-old Ed claimed that a glowing dot in his bedroom morphed into the scowling ghost of their dead landlady, his father didn't comfort him. He told him to forget he ever saw it and to never tell anyone.
Very frightening things occurred to me. Thought they were just as necessary as a good wife was to me. They were very necessary because I would have to understand later on when I started investigating haunted houses how frightened these people really were. I understood that because I had lived it.
Less than 5 months later, Lorraine Rita Moran was born in Bridgeport, just 3 blocks from her future husband. Her date of birth was January 31st, 1927. And like the boy across town, Lorraine...
So basically, Ed and Lorraine live almost close to each other when there was a baby.
Was also touched by the other side. But while Ed's ghost came from the corners of a dark bedroom, Lorraine's came from inside her head.
From the time that I was about 7 years old, I remember seeing lights around people. I realized that I was communicating.
Communicating with who or what exactly, she couldn't say for sure. But
so basically, Lorraine can see stuff more than Ed. Cause Ed, like Lorraine can see like more, like ghost, demon. She can feel the spirit around her.
the strange fruits of that correspondence were always the same. Vivid colors no one else could see, halos around people and objects, flickers of what would be in the future instead of what was in the here and now. For years, Ed and Lorraine lived parallel lives, orbiting one another until they finally crossed paths as teenagers. According to the story they want you to believe, they met and fell in love almost immediately. That instant connection helped forge a decades-long bond that would help spin those dark gifts into a shared mission, and the foundation for a billion-dollar supernatural empire that would spawn the Conjuring cinematic universe. Fitting for two people from a town whose motto is Industria Crescimus, a Latin phrase that means by industry we thrive. By all accounts, the couple did thrive, despite the common misconception that they didn't make any money from their cases. What the Warrens thrived on depends who you ask. Some say they built a career telling stories of their genuine clashes with demonic forces from beyond our world.
So basically they're talking about like the movie, the franchise, The Conjuring, how they get story from Ed and Lorraine Warren to tell it, to make it to a movie. But remember, Hollywood changed stuff. And sometimes Hollywood sometimes left out of context of it.
Others see an equally pertinent case of the couple monetizing their storytelling ability, only the second group chastises the Warrens for spinning stories of a fictional variety, aka they're liars. I'll give you one guess which camp I'm in. Like P.T. Barnum before them, yes, the same one who made the circus, the Warrens spent their entire careers fending off accusations of fraud. And much like a circus, their history is a chaotic one, so buckle the fuck up.
So basically, the people know they're fraud, they're liars. Because I've been learning this right now, a couple months ago. Because at first I don't know who was Ed and Lorraine Warren was since I was watching the Conjuring movie, and I found out they have books you can read of their cases. But I'm glad learning more about the history of horror of Ed and Lorraine.
Now, this is not Hollywood hype. This is what happens in many houses that Lorraine and I go into, and this is what we see.
Well, I've investigated haunted houses for some 20 years. I've not met a house that I thought was haunted. I think the Warrens have never met a house that they didn't think was haunted.
Everything that they say you cannot fact check because it doesn't exist. In my opinion, Ed and Lorraine were frauds.
I think at the end of the day, Ed and Lorraine were really good salespeople.
And we now know from some of the ghostwriters, pun intended, but some of the ghostwriters who wrote these books.
So, Paranormal Review Radio. I want to know if any paranormal people in the chat knows those people. I don't know none of them.
For the Warrens, that they were encouraged to just make up stuff.
People now are saying, she never seen that. That can't happen.
Of course I
The
seen
molecular
that.
structure.
Ed and Lorraine Warren had an agenda. They said, you guys will be millionaires.
Welcome to Horror History. Today, we're investigating the investigators. If you've seen any of the Conjuring films, you're familiar with the Hollywood-approved version of Ed and Lorraine Warren. In the movies, they're America's premier demon-fighting.
In the chat, I want to know how many people they watch any the Conjuring universe movie. I think I watched the whole Conjuring universe, like The Nun, The Nun 2, Annabelle Come Home, Daughter Annabelle movie, Conjuring 1, 2, and 3, and 4, La Llorona. What Conjuring movie you watched the most of it? And to talk about a little bit the movie history, Hollywood like to change everything.
Couple, the unyielding moral center of a world overrun by evil, armed with rosary beads, enough holy water to supply a fire station, and that aw shucks sort of charm. The kind that makes your grandparents seem endearing when they seemingly have no idea that the post they just interacted with online is actually the most vile, crude joke of all time. When the first Conjuring movie hit theaters in 2013, it was such a huge success that it became the new template that all of Hollywood wanted to emulate. Here on this channel, we have a name for this subgenre, religious horror, and a whole video about how oversaturated it became, featuring me losing my mind. But while the imitators became frustratingly formulaic, I've always liked the Conjuring films for getting the human element right amidst...
For real, I like watching Paranormal Activity, like the movies. I don't like it because everything like camera, like 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, like screen, you see something move. Like I like when they show like people act like talking to each other to help people out stuff. But Conjuring is the best way, or other stuff.
All of the supernatural distress.
With that darkness of these films, we always look for those scenes with Ed and Lorraine to show their joy, their love, their humor, their pathos, their empathy.
It's been decades of like love and loss and levitating furniture. It's hopelessly romantic and beautifully terrifying.
That was Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, the cinematic version.
Patrick, dude, I want to get their autograph straight out.
Of Ed and Lorraine, who provide the emotional backbone in the Conjuring universe. They're made out to be the superheroes who oppose the demonic villains, all while being painted as impossibly wholesome role models. Their role in the story is often just as much about being a pillar of support for the families being haunted as it is fighting demons. Whether that's cooking pancakes, singing Elvis tunes, cooking pancakes again, basically a lot of pancakes.
The following is based.
Yeah, I think Ed loved pancakes.
Based on a true story.
But the truth we've been sold is only one version of the story. In real life, Ed and Lorraine's most famous...
So basically, there are two sides of the story. Hollywood version and a real life version of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Cases are steeped in controversy thicker than Ed's pancake syrup. And not even $1 billion worth of ticket stubs can keep it buried. Guys, if I die in the next 48 hours, have Peter Safran's hands DNA tested. From the Perrin family haunting to the Amityville horror, and especially the Enfield poltergeist case, the real-life accounts of what happened are a chaotic tangle of conflicting stories, missing evidence, shifting testimonies, and vocal detractors who insist that the Warrens exaggerated or outright invented key details. And Hollywood has been complicit in selling the lies. To understand how two haunted kids from Bridgeport became the most famous demon hunters in American history, we have to go all the way back to, ironically enough, a darkened movie theater, where a chance encounter would set the stage for one of the most influential...
So basically, Ed was working at the movie theaters, and Lorraine just walking around with a group of her friends, hanging out. Hey, let's go to the movies. And they see Lorraine see Stub Muffin, Ed.
And controversial careers that the paranormal world has ever seen. The Warrens' so-called paranormal investigations may have actually been a scheme to put a few extra bucks in their pockets, but I wonder if history would have been different if there was an easier way to generate some income, like playing mobile games and completing offers on your phone. Well, now back to the video. Just kidding, here's what you need to know. The video is sponsored by Free Cash. It's this platform where you can actually earn real money just by playing games and completing offers on your phone. You sign up, pick an offer, and then earn rewards as you complete milestones in the game or task. When I opened the app, it showed exactly how much you can earn for each step, which is nice because you know exactly what you're working towards. Just make sure app tracking is enabled so Free Cash can properly track your progress. I tried one of the game offers and just played normally for a bit, and once you hit the rewards milestone, you can cash out through things like PayPal. They also have a 4.8 star rating on Trustpilot with over 250,000 reviews, so you can trust that it's not like a scam or fraud thing. Unlike some people... If you want to try it yourself, use the link at the top of the description or scan like some people.
I had to pause it. You know, Ed and Lorraine Warren, are scam people, like scanning people for money. And they're, thank you, Chef Malky. So though I scam people.
If you want to try it yourself, use the link at the top of the description or scan the QR code and you'll get a $10 bonus when you start your first offer. Your interface might look slightly different depending on your country, but the process works the same. You can also refer friends and earn extra rewards when they complete offers too. Just click that link in the description or scan the QR code to start earning your free cash.
I remember meeting my husband. I had gone to the movies. Then when we left, there was a little ice cream parlor there. And he says, I'll buy all you girls a Coke. And I ordered an ice cream soda. He told me from day one, he knew I was a gold digger.
Self-proclaimed gold digger. Interesting. As it turned out, both Ed and Lorraine had struck gold by meeting each other. They just didn't know it yet. According to researcher and Warren biographer Cheryl Wicks, Ed was working as an usher at the Colonial Theater in Bridgeport in 1942 when in walked 15-year-old Lorraine Moran and a handful of her girlfriends.
So Ed worked in the movie theater as an usher, like who clean when people finish watching the movie, they're cleaning their mess, like the popcorn on the floor, take it out to the trash can, like super cleaning.
This was wartime America, the height of World War II, and in the middle of the show, an air raid drill forced every paying audience member out onto the street. I wish that had happened to me when I saw Shelby Oaks. It would have been the most exciting part of the movie. Outside, as the sirens blared, Ed and Lorraine caught eyes, and I guess the sirens ringing in their ears felt like an omen. I imagine Ed writing in his journal, when you're 17, you'll meet a girl during an air raid drill. It's very important that you offer her a Coke. She's gonna make you rich. Ed shared the haunting with his dead landlady. Lorraine told him about the visions that she'd spent her whole life trying to deny. how she horrified the nuns at her Catholic school when she told them she could see things that no one else could.
I was at a private Catholic girls' school, and I told one of the nuns that her lights were brighter than Mother Superior. And I paid a price for that.
United by the mutual feeling that they'd each been gifted the ability to see beyond the veil, the teens were engaged to be married within a year. Not atypical for a couple back.
Damn, they got married for a year? When they met, they got married for a year. That's crazy. Some people do it super fast. Shoot, when I get married or find the right girl, that's like a 6-year plan in my book.
But the wedding would have to wait. Ed had enlisted in the Navy, probably because he couldn't support his wife-to-be's ice cream soda habit on a movie theater employee's salary. No disrespect to movie theater employees, though. I don't know what I would do without you guys. I cannot make it through a long movie without food. And like me, in a long movie without food, Ed almost didn't make it through his time in the Navy. He nearly died when his ship sank after colliding with an oil tanker. Forced overboard into the icy, shark-infested waters of the North Atlantic, Ed was certain that he'd never make it back home to marry Lorraine. Some might see his lifeboat rescue as fate or divine intervention and proof that Ed and Lorraine were meant to help people. And some might see it as a standard safety procedure. As soon as his clothes were dry, Ed raced home on a survivor's leave, married Lorraine, and conceived their daughter, Judy. When he finally returned home, the Warrens' greatest fear wasn't the Axis powers or the demonic.
So Ed served in the military as a Navy when Judy was born.
Powers of Malthus, Valak, or Satan. It was the grocery bill. Between a newborn baby, a new marriage, and a rapidly draining bank account, the young couple needed a way to plug the money leak, and fast.
I had this crazy dream. Saw this thing. When I woke up, it didn't get out of my head. So, well, maybe this might help.
Ed needed money, which is why his next move was one of his most puzzling. He enrolled in art school under the GI Bill, a government program that gives money to military veterans to help with things like housing and education.
So I know a little bit about the GI Bill. You ever say that? But for people that eventually they get free money from the government, pay for like school. I have a couple friends that was served in the military, and they use their GI Bill to pay for school. And other stuff.
He was determined to paint his way out of poverty. Look, I went to art school and I made it work somehow, but come on, I think there must have been better ways that he could have made money with a wife and daughter to feed. And Ed would soon see why. The paintbrush alone was not paying the bills, so he came up with a scheme. If people wouldn't buy his art, then he'd trick people into taking it.
Ed, he was an artist. He went to art school for a couple years after the Navy and he used to read about haunted houses. And he would drive to these places with Lorraine and he would.
Am I correct? Is that Tony from son-in-law of Ed Warren and Judy husband Tony?
Take a sketch pad and pencil with him and he'd pull up in front of the house. He'd sketch the house. Take about 30 minutes.
Only he wasn't selling these hastily thrown together pieces to the homeowners. They were merely a ticket to get inside.
Then he'd hand the sketch to Lorraine. They opened the door and say, "My husband sketched this nice sketch of your home. He wants you to have it." And he said, maybe they'll let us in and we can talk about the haunting that they have. And that's how they started.
For years, the Warrens crisscrossed New England in a beat-up car, chasing whispers of drafty Victorian mansions or sagging farmhouses to do their bait and brush routine. Ed would often make a more dramatic version of the supposedly haunted home if the story behind it was especially juicy, adding eerie flourishes like cobwebs, gnarled branches, or an oppressive fog set beneath a swollen moon. And witches. Apparently he loved adding witches to his paintings. I can just see him going up and knocking on some rich house with a painting behind his back, and when they answer the door, he's just like, "What's wrong? No witches?" For what it's worth, the majority of these paintings are really good though. I would put this up in my condo, and I'm guessing these are the ones that he didn't manage to give away for free, so it's very possible that his other work is even better. If only he'd stuck with it a bit longer, you might be watching a video about a painter rather than a grifter. Being the ones who got first access to investigate every rumored haunting in the area did wonders for the couple's growing notoriety, but cobbling together enough money to keep the lights on proved especially challenging during this time. Ed was forced to work odd jobs to survive, like driving a city bus in Monroe, Connecticut. Dude was literally operating the struggle bus. You can't make this up. Several unconfirmed reports also suggest that Ed worked.
So Yeah, and their time living hard, so Ed had to get a job as a bus driver.
As a police officer during this time, but I couldn't find any credible sources to back up that claim. It seems to be an example of my favorite thing, where false information gets posted online and people just blindly repost it until it's practically considered fact. The confusion probably started because his father worked in law enforcement, but I imagine if Ed was a cop, he wouldn't have needed to lie to get access to a lot of these haunted houses. But simply being there and investigating didn't give him the credibility he desired. The next step was to hit the books. He basically turned into Needy during that one scene in Jennifer's body and soaked up every book on the occult that he could get his hands on, educating himself on demonology, exorcism, theology, and folklore. The thing is, when it comes to paranormal studies, there's no certificate, no academic track, or church-sanctioned coursework. You don't need to get your medical license in demonology. So Ed Warren did exactly what P.T. Barnum did.
So, yeah, there's no certificate of demonology, so you can be a doctor, at demonology.
Century earlier. He just told people that he was the person he wanted them to believe he was, a demonologist. This was the point where the lies started to spin out of control.
What if there was a song about young man, big dream, in the style of pop?
I did not wake up one day and say, I want to be a demonologist. I was born a demonologist. Yes, there are degrees that you can get in theology, psychology, but to be a true demonologist, you have to be born to it.
Grifters have a way of flocking to these quote-unquote industries that don't require official certification. I'm very familiar with this because many of them have tried to sponsor this channel, and I've shut them down and sent them on their way. For example, in the US, supplements are regulated by the FDA, but they're regulated as food, not medication. So as long as they don't kill you, it's technically not illegal for them to make a website where they feature testimonials from people claiming that the supplement helped them in some way that has never been scientifically proven. The titles that they come up with for the people giving these testimonials can be very funny because you start to see a pattern. It's always nutritional coach, vegan athlete, or a doctorate graduate, but not like a doctor of medicine. It's never an actual medical doctor because the supplements are almost always a scam that won't kill you, but will take your money without doing anything to help you. Side note, sometimes when I try to explain this to people, they get mad because they've already fallen for the scam, and I think they psychologically just want to justify the money they've already spent, so they try to argue that it actually does work. And demonology works exactly the same way. It's something that anyone can declare themselves an expert in, and it's not regulated by any governing body. So Ed and Lorraine can make stuff up all day about its effectiveness. And people who believe in it get really mad when you point this out. So why am I even bringing up supplements and demonology if it's just gonna make people mad? It's because I'm making a video debunking the Warrens. I think I already pissed off everyone who's gonna get pissed off 30 seconds into the video. And by the way, before I move on from this, as a horror creator, I definitely have friends who believe in the supernatural, and we never get mad at each other. It's almost like you can just coexist with people who have done.
The true. I have some friend love the primitivity based on the true story, guys.
Different beliefs than you do if you just respect each other. Anyway, Ed claimed that his.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I'm a Christian, people is Muslim, or Christian, or Catholic, or Buddha, which we have to get along.
Understanding of demons wasn't learned, but an innate birthright. He went on to say that whatever knowledge he didn't possess was later delivered to him directly by way of a literal angel.
And when I didn't have that knowledge, it would come to me through an angel.
If I had an angel that hand-delivered knowledge to me, it would make researching these videos a hell of a lot easier. But while Ed embraced the dark, Lorraine was repelled by it. It almost sounds like she started off as more of a skeptic. In Gerald Brittle's book, The Demonologist, an early career retrospective of the Warrens, Lorraine says, "In the beginning, I was a bit more wary of the people whom we spoke with. I thought they were kind of suffering from overactive imaginations or were just making things up to get attention. In fact, some things people told us sounded completely outlandish." She turned the corner when familiar patterns emerged time and time again. Different towns, different families, same story. We would be in...
So, Ed and Lorraine did write stories on their books. So far, I want to have 2 books up there, but I'm looking for, I can find a PDF reader or an ebook so you can read it for me.
vastly different places, one week in Iowa and the next in Texas, but there was often a similarity, sometimes even an exactness to the stories that people would tell. And there Ed and I would be, paint all over our hands and arms, offering consolation to folks who were often twice our age, telling them what we knew about the workings of the spirit realm. By 1952, Ed and Lorraine had formalized their operation, founding the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPR for short. A centralized investigative body meant to enhance their credibility in the eyes of the public. Under the NESPR banner, a rotating cast of medical personnel, researchers, law enforcement, students, and members of the clergy were invited to assist the Warrens in their research and documentation of the paranormal, compiling a steady stream of photos, audio recordings, and case files said to confirm the existence of spirits. At least that's what they want you to believe. Churches throughout New England began recruiting the Warrens to evaluate reports of alleged demonic activity, which only helped legitimize them further in certain circles who believed in the paranormal. Whenever I get invited to go on a podcast, they almost always lead by mentioning other celebrities that have been on the podcast. And I think that's kind of what the Warrens were doing here, grouping themselves with reputable institutions. By the mid-1950s, the script was officially flipped. The days of roaming the countryside and knocking on doors and offering sketches in exchange for ghost stories were over. Now, the stories came to them. And sometimes people were desperate to get help from the couple, especially after most wrote off their claims of haunted residences as delusion. This shift favored Ed and Lorraine in more ways than one. They didn't have to grind to get a new opportunity to investigate something to add to their resume, and the people that they were investigating already believed that their case was supernatural. In fact, they were desperate to believe, because believing that ghosts and demons were the root of their issues meant believing that the Warrens could fix whatever issues they had going on in their lives. So Ed and Lorraine did not have to pull out any tricks or illusions to get the victims to corroborate their story. By the way, we can assume that the early painting investigations included plenty of trickery and illusions, especially based on some of the documented tampering that the Warrens would pull in their later high-profile cases. We'll get.
So they have to have proof of everything
there soon. The two looked into everything, from claims of human vampirism to vengeful witches, because Ed loves his witches, to naive teens whose party tricks with a Ouija board open them up to a lot more trouble than just upset parents. All of these claims, of course, are alleged supernatural happenings. With referrals flowing in and NESPR giving their work a formal spine, the Warrens took the next logical step. They went public.
So, what are you guys? I mean, what do people call you?
Well, we've been called demonologists. It's one name for us. Ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Again, notice how the movie subtly reframes it, making it look like Ed didn't invent the term demonologist, instead making it look like a name that was bestowed upon them. By the late 1950s and early 60s, Ed and Lorraine were mainstays on the lecture circuit, filling church basements, community halls, and crucially, college campuses.
So basically, Ed and Lorraine used to go to like school, church. It's more like preaching to them about demon, ghosts, and everything.
Campuses with a key demographic that was vital to the health of their brand, young people. Not just young, but newly untethered from their parents' authority, the perfect age to adopt some unfamiliar ideology. It's the same reason that campuses seem to have so many protests. It's the crucial point in someone's life where they're most willing to challenge the beliefs that they've been shackled to for the first 18 years of their lives. The Warrens were happy to oblige, even if it meant destroying a few families along the way.
Serious dictation was driving me crazy, so I switched to whisper flow. Here's why I'll never go back. First off,
more than just a tool for publicity, the lectures Ed and Lorraine would give were the primary source of their income. Even if some college students objected to the lectures Ed and Lorraine would give were the primary source of.
And the real Lorraine was in the movie. There she is. That's an Easter egg, guys. Do you know that Lorraine was in The Conjuring, the first?
Their income. Even if some college students objected to the idea of their schools forking their tuition money over to a pair of frauds capitalizing on meritless superstition. It is true that the Warrens never charged money for their help. And while this is probably the single biggest counter-argument against the thesis that there were grifters, I don't think their unwillingness to charge clients was just out of the goodness of their hearts. It could be because it just wouldn't have been very lucrative.
Like, Jason David Frank said, everyone more, greet. And Ed and Lorraine want more money, greet.
These people were already suffering, down on their luck, and clearly stressed out by life, which is usually a catalyst for why they start to believe that they're haunted in the first place. We even see this in the movies. All the families they help appear to be poor families who have tried everything and turn to the Warrens as a last resort. You don't see any rich families.
Oh, that's true. I didn't realize that. Yeah, Ed and Lorraine help the poor people more than the rich people.
Families approach the Warrens because the rich families don't tend to believe that they're being haunted. They have the resources to fix whatever is going on with them. But not taking a paycheck doesn't mean the Warrens are morally in the clear. Because while Ed didn't charge a direct rate for their services, their assistance wasn't exactly free, not in the strictest sense of the word.
So basically, Ed wanted to go just to pay for a hotel or a flight, and we handle it. The demon, like Ed and Lorraine was say, "You want to smoke?"
In The Demonologist, Ed and Lorraine make an important distinction, saying, we have no reason to put our thumb on the scale. We're not Bible thumpers, we don't charge money for our services, but we must be reimbursed for basic expenses such as airfare, hotel rooms, and so on. When that's understood, we set up an appointment as soon as possible. In other words, that poor single mother of 4 from The Conjuring 2 whose husband ran off with the woman from around the corner, in real life, Ed wasn't getting off the couch until his airfare, hotel, and fish and chips were paid for. Sure, you could argue that if you're dumb enough to fall for it, you deserve to get duped by the Warrens.
So you have to pay first. Hey, pay us first. We'll handle your business.
But remember, these were people who were already going through it in life, had tried everything, and genuinely believed that if they just spent their last dollars on Ed and Lorraine's hotel room, maybe they could be the ones to fix everything. To make matters worse, a lot of the time when a poor family would say that they're being haunted, it was actually a medical issue, mental health thing, or in some cases, a bad seed living in the house. And I'm not talking about a ghost. The Warrens seemed to have no problems letting them believe that the very real family issue was a haunting in order to make a quick buck off the story. Imagine you've given up, and then you see these supposed miracle workers flash onto your TV screen.
Can we give out the number of the Society for the New England Society for Psychic Research? What's that number?
203. Well, it's local. Yes.
Okay.
268-8235 for families who do have problems.
If you have a ghost in a house, who are you going to call?
It's kind of like the casino who takes a man's last dollar with the promise that this will be the one where.
So if you have a ghost, who are you gonna call? I will call the Ghostbuster. Who are you gonna call? It's the Ghostbuster. No, I will call Dust.
He wins big. As the Warrens' case files piled up, so did the leftovers. They began to collect these allegedly cursed objects, which Ed and Lorraine blamed as the cause of their client's supernatural disturbances. They developed a collection of antique mirrors, amulets, jars of cemetery dirt, books, statuettes, shrunken heads, masks, dolls and toys, a sword, a satanic idol, an old wedding dress, glass eyeballs. They even managed to win themselves a haunted organ. Hope the movers were all wearing their special demon-repelling gloves. Some of the items they have there in real life are kind of funny to me and have the same energy as people selling World Series authenticated field dirt for $90 on eBay. Like this supposed splinter from the crucifix of Jesus Christ. The battery-operated candles are a fitting touch, aren't they? Or this allegedly floating brick from Borley Rectory, known by some as England's most haunted house. Are we really calling this a brick now? Because guys, that's just a rock. Someone threw a rock and took a picture of it. Each item was tagged, cataloged, and stored inside the Warren home. When asked by Chad and Carrie Hayes, the screenwriters who penned the first Conjuring film, why they keep the objects, Lorraine gave a memorable response.
They're vessels. You know, you're just getting rid of the bottle that the genie's in.
So, it's a vessel. So, like, if you have a haunted items, if you see the Conjuring, like the Annabelle, the wedding dress, the mirror, a lot of things. But remember, don't touch anything because the demon will be attached to you.
Rather know where the genie is because it's attached to this.
Wow, it's so virtuous of them to keep all those dangerous objects in their home. I'm sure they didn't have some ulterior motive. Over time, the collection grew so large that it quietly overtook the Warrens' home in Monroe, Connecticut. The stockpile of evil artifacts was moved to the basement, and the Warrens rebranded the space, calling it the Monroe Occult Museum. In 1963, the collection became too big to manage, so the couple hired a live-in assistant named Judith Penny. Penny first met Ed when she was just 15 years old, back when he made his living behind the wheel of a Monroe City bus. Once inside the Warren home, she helps catalog.
So Judy Penny is the one, she was 15 years old. did the story how Anne did to her.
Of the collection, which had ballooned to hundreds of items. She also assisted with lectures and offered general support for an operation that was rapidly outgrowing its modest beginnings. Among the hundreds of objects that passed through the Warrens' hands, one stood above the rest. A simple doll with button eyes and a triangle nose. A doll named Annabelle.
This is the worst thing in here. It's that doll. I'm not going to stare at it though, because it has done bad harm on a lot of people.
In 1970, the Warrens' first true breakout case arrived in an unusually cutesy package, a Raggedy Ann doll. Two nursing students, Donna Jennings and Angie Tapleton, and Angie's fiance, Lou Carlo, claimed that they were being...
Yeah, the two nursing and her friend. And I think what Annabelle came from.
Terrorized by the doll inside their Hartford, Connecticut apartment. The story that would become the Warrens' hallmark case was actually one of the flimsiest they have on offer.
You're one sentence away from launching your website with Base 44. Since the beginning of the internet, there's never been such a fun, fast, and
We learned from her that a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins had died in this apartment. She was lonely and took a liking to my doll.
When we heard this, we felt really sorry for her. I mean, we're nurses, we help people. So we gave her permission to...
So if you see Annabelle, the first Annabelle movie, kind of going to give them. They're Annabelle Created, Annabelle, and Annabelle Come Home. So that will be, to do like the timeless thing. Like, watch this movie first, watch this second, third, fourth. So if you watch it, start with the Nun, because Nun was the first one.
Move into the doll.
That decision set the stage for even worse terrors to come, prompting Ed and Lorraine's involvement. Their diagnosis? There was no Annabelle Higgins, only a demonic spirit that tricked Donnie and Angie into believing that it was the ghost of a little girl.
So the doll was never possessed?
No, it was used as a conduit. It was moved around to give the impression of possession. Demonic spirits don't possess things. They possess people. It wanted to get inside of you.
However, while the movies make the symptoms of the haunting much scarier, making it seem like the work of a demon, the actual reports basically consist of the doll moving from room to room while they were gone, the limbs being arranged in weird postures, and a series of notes all directed at Lou. The clincher was when the doll's hands were seen smeared in a red liquid that looked like blood. They never said that it was actual blood. It wasn't tested as far as I can tell. It just looked like blood. I don't know about you, but if I had a roommate and my doll was moving positions when I wasn't there and there were notes left with my name on them, I would assume it was a prank. They consulted with a medium who told them the doll is possessed by a little girl named Annabelle Higgins, but when the Warrens arrived, they changed the narrative to something that benefits them.
So I would agree with CZ. See, if somebody did like a prank or if they have like the Annabelle doll there, like moving around and saying my name, I would think, oh, it's a prank, whatever.
It's actually a demonic presence imitating a little girl, and they needed to take the doll with them for safety. I'm sure the fact that they have a paranormal museum is just a coincidence. The Warrens would have you believe that they underwent a whole investigation, following protocol, taking notes and pictures, and filing everything away from their studies. If you look on the Nesper website, they even show these manila folders for their major cases, as if they were the leads of some kind of hard-boiled detective story. Same goes for movies like Annabelle Comes Home, where we see Ed and Lorraine's daughter and babysitter snoop into boxes of these folders filled with notes and photos. But if you click on that folder on the website, it just takes you to the most basic description, and as far as I can tell, the raw case files don't actually exist. So it seems very much like Ed and Lorraine got called in because they lived nearby and had developed some notoriety around the paranormal. Same goes for movies like Annabelle Comes Home, where we see Ed and Lorraine's daughter.
Yeah, and that's like, I love Annabelle Come Home. That's the only Annabelle I like. But the babysitter friend, I met her on a con, Monster Palooza, was it Midnight Summer Scream. She was super nice, and she was in Supernatural too.
and babysitter snoop into boxes of these folders filled with notes and photos. But if you click on that folder on the website, it just takes you to the most basic description, and as far as I can tell, the raw case file.
So basically, they're a site, but they're nothing involved with.
Don't actually exist. So it seems very much like Ed and Lorraine got called in because they lived nearby and had developed some notoriety around the paranormal, showed up, saw the creepy doll, decided they'd like to have it for their collection, and made up a story to make that happen. I couldn't find any police report or evidence of injuries or any evidence that really legitimizes the Annabelle case to be anything beyond an urban legend. As I mentioned, the demon-fighting couple sealed Annabelle behind glass, where it became the main attraction of the occult museum. I'm not going to go any deeper on her here, though, because I have a whole video on the insane history of the Annabelle doll that you can check out after this. While Annabelle went on to be our introduction to the Conjuring universe decades later, the first Conjuring film is mostly about a different case, involving a terrified family in Harrisville, Rhode Island, Roger and Carolyn Perrin, and their 5 daughters. The Perrins' nightmare began in 1971 when they moved into a sprawling, centuries-old farmhouse that had...
So this is the farmhouse of the Conjuring, but they not shoot it at a real place, but this is the real house.
Already lived several lifetimes before the family showed up. The occasion was met with overwhelming joy at first.
The idea of living on 200 acres in a beautiful home like that's enough to fire you up. It was beautiful.
But just days after moving in, the entire Perrin family faced what they saw as unnatural disturbances, including apparitions, rancid smells, strange noises, and small piles of dirt scattered around the house. I love the idea that the ghost wanted to inconvenience them by making them clean. The mom, Carolyn, reported phantom bruises and debilitating muscle cramps that kept her bedridden for days. Roger, her husband, a traveling jewelry salesman, was away from home often. When he returned, he was inundated by stories from his family about hair-raising encounters with the ghost that they were forced to share the farmhouse with.
Wham, wham, the bedroom door stopped flying open out of nowhere, out of absolute nowhere. Wham, bam, up against the sides of the walls. Everybody would be just in total shock, and we'd be, okay, who did that?
In The Conjuring, the Warrens show up in November 1971, and it's wrapped up before snowfall, so probably a couple weeks at most. But in reality, the Perrins' ordeal lasted nearly a decade. And in the words of Andrea Perrin, the oldest daughter of the family, 95% of the events featured in the movie were, quote,
Yeah, this is based on a true story. I think she's still alive still.
Finagled, twisted, altered, or made up. That includes the Warrens themselves. Andrea says that their involvement didn't bring relief or resolution. It actively made the hauntings worse, triggering a surge of violent retribution that nearly cost her mother, Carolyn, her life.
Her chair was levitated, and she was in a split second thrown from the middle of our dining room into the middle of our parlor. Everyone in that house heard her skull hit the floor, and everyone in our house thought that we had just watched my mother die.
After the crash landing, Roger Perrin raced to his wife's side. When Ed Warren grabbed his arm to stop him, the demonologist felt his own skull hit the floor.
My father turned around and punched his lights out and took a man twice his size to the floor. Then he told the Warrens to pack up everything that they brought into our home that night and told them to get the hell out and never come back.
Andrea attempted to set the record.
So basically, her dad punched Ed out and told them to get the hell rid from them and leave.
Straight in a 1,500-page trilogy of books called House of Darkness, House of Light, where she recounts the years-long affliction that she and her family were made to endure.
Basically, she write her own book and she tell like the real story, what happened, compared to Ed and Lorraine Warren, you know.
Andrea does believe in the supernatural, so she mostly believed the claims that the Warrens told them, but her main issue was that they weren't making the situation better as they claimed they would. She cited phrases that Lorraine taught the girls to ward off spirits that just straight up didn't do anything, and seemed to think that the couple's involvement only pissed off the spirits more. She maintains that there are no experts in the field of paranormal investigation.
It's just a crock of shit. You know, I mean, anybody tells you that they're an expert in the field of paranormal investigation, run away from them. Run away from them.
Still, there are a few instances where even Andrea and her spirit believer family were able to smell the BS. Like when Lorraine blamed what was clearly a bat infestation on a demonic force, and she said no one in the house subscribed to her lurid interpretation. Ironically enough, Andrea herself has been a regular target of skeptics who say that her family's entire story is bogus, none more vocal than Norma Sutcliffe. the woman who moved into the Harrisville farmhouse in 1987, a few years after the parents vacated the property for good. Norma claimed that she'd experienced zero demonic activity in more than 3 decades there, even running a successful daycare for 20 years out of this supposedly haunted portal to hell. Funny how the family who was convinced that the house was haunted sent themselves into a frenzy for 10 years, but a bunch of kids who knew nothing about the house's reputation and never had an issue. The only real haunting she faced was the incessant trespassers and phone calls from thrill seekers, eager to see the house up close. Fed up with the human activity the property attracted, Norma and her husband invited professional skeptics on guided tours, hoping to dispel the myths and quiet all the noise. Paranormal investigator Joe Nickel published a brief in the magazine Skeptical Inquirer after Norma invited him onto the property in 2016. After a thorough cellar-to-attic examination, Nickel said, "I analyzed the parents' claims of demonic activity and showed that they're consistent with the effects of strong winds, misperceptions, schoolgirl pranks, vivid dreams, simple suggestion, role-playing, and other factors, including one child's having had an imaginary playmate and the effects of memory after some 30 to 40 years. So basically, if you believe in the paranormal, then the Warrens are frauds who know nothing about the field. And if you don't believe in the paranormal, then the Warrens are frauds who are making people believe in the paranormal." Despite the pushback, they had believers, and sometimes even the support of legit publications like the author of this article who frames their cases as authentic and acknowledges worlds that many people refuse to recognize. But their next investigation would be perhaps their most infamous, taking them inside the bleeding walls of a Dutch colonial in Amityville, New York.
So the next story will be the Annabelle. Lately, I watched only one Annabelle, and I can't pronounce it. But anyways, the one with the guy in Gotham who played as before the Joker, and the girl from Check It Up. Fuck her name. Will have a disability, a disability. Fuck her name. But anyways, it's a great movie to watch. And what part am I right now? So we're halfway there and really need to go to the restroom. So I will take a little break. So I'm going to go to the restroom, and I'll be back. Okay.
Rudy style brings out the cheer. Let's skip still less sharing stories. My guy's voice rings loud and clear. From beach hills to Dublin sessions, you full energy in each confession behind the scenes. The fun unfold in Rudy's chat. The truth is told, this is, oh, believe it. The tales they spin of ninjas passing battles within.
Now you can meet with a TurboTax expert in your community. They can do your taxes for you and get you every dollar you deserve. Local tax experts are here. Hand off your taxes with confidence.
Special the flash of each village's emblem in a swirl of colored smoke. From the midst of the morning sun, a shadow breaks the day. A boy with the heart of a frog, leaping into fate. He carries dreams not just his own, but for every ninja who's ever known. That strength is found in unity, the fire inside the legacy. With every bond they rise above, in every clash they fight for love. Kushinobi spirit never fall. Fox and tiger hear the call. Dragon flames and monkey swings, wings of penguins, mighty things. Pandas roar and wisdom rise underneath the stormy skies. Against the fangs of evil's fight, together they ignite the light. Shinobi spirit burns so bright. The snake's deceit coils deep in fear, spreading poison through the years. But blades of truth and hearts so brave cut through the dark to heal and save. They were strangers once from far off lands, now they fight with joy in hands. Every scroll, every trial draws them closer every mile. Their shinobi spirits stand as one. The battle's fierce but never done. Villages rise, no one's alone. Together they've made the world their own. When legends clash and darkness nears, their hearts will wipe away the tears. United blaze, they shine so bright. Shinobi spirit, fight for life. The bonds we weave become our
Hi guys, I'm back. Let's continue watching it.
From 0 to a complete site in just a single prompt with Wix Harmony. I don't know if this is going to be possible. Or vibe coding.
6 members of one family have been found shot to death in their night clothes in thetheir expensive home in Amityville, Long Island. The victims have been identified as members of the DeFeo family. They were found by a 23-year-old son, Ronald DeFeo, who is believed to be the only surviving member of the family.
On the night of November 13th, 1974, police were called into a 3-story Dutch colonial at 112 Ocean Avenue amid reports of a bloody massacre. When police questioned the lone survivor, Ronald DeFeo Jr., the Charles Manson lookalike alluded to his father's rumored ties to organized crime. Ronald Sr., a Brooklyn native, was known to brag about his association with the Genovese crime family. He suggested maybe it was a mob hit, but Ronald collapsed under police scrutiny not long after during interrogation. He confessed to the killings, and during the 6-week trial, DeFeo claimed that voices from the house compelled him to kill, a wild declaration that became central to his insanity defense. The insanity plea didn't work. DeFeo was convicted of the murders and sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms. But his claims ignited a media frenzy, pulling journalists, thrill seekers, and paranormal investigators like Ed and Lorraine Warren. Part of that obsession.
So basically, the Amityville horror house is real, based on a true story. So you see, like, the one guy murdered like the whole family because they heard like talking like voices, demons, everything. So basically that happened and new family moved in and something crazy happening and they call Ed and Lorraine Warren to help out.
Centered on the house itself. The 5-bedroom Dutch colonial's most striking feature was a pair of attic windows that resembled watchful eyes. Everyone knows that houses that look like a face are 10 times more likely to be haunted. But before Ed and Lorraine made the trek from Connecticut, George and Kathy Lutz purchased the house at a steep discount in 1975, fully aware of its violent history.
We discussed the events that had happened in the house as a family and came to the decision that we would all be okay with the history of what had happened. But I don't think any of us considered the possibility that there would be something residual there.
They got it for $80K though, which is under $500,000 in 2026 money. Cheap mansion, someone got murdered there. Personally, it's all wins in my book. But just 28 days later, the new owners fled the house in terror.
We had substances seeping out of keyholes, toilet bowls that turned black, furniture that moved, windows that flew in, flies that appeared out of nowhere. And not 1 or 2.
Sounds more like they were slobs than haunted. Or maybe it was all an act. Because after fleeing their dream home, the Lutzes met with William Weber, the former defense attorney for convicted Amityville killer Ronald DeFeo Jr. Over a few bottles of wine, they hatched up a scheme to scare up a few bucks.
I don't remember the number of bottles of wine that we had, but it certainly was more than 4. Toward the end, we were creating ideas.
So bottom line, do you believe the Lutz's story about what happened in those 28 days?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I know that they were making a commercial venture of this.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The most sensational version of the Amityville story. But George and Kathy ultimately rejected the terms of that deal. Instead, they partnered with horror author Jay Anson to immortalize their so-called experience in paperback. The result of that collaboration was the best-selling book, The Amityville Horror, which went on to sell millions of copies and spawned a blockbuster movie of the same name, starring James Brolin and Margot Kidder.
I'm coming apart! Oh, mother of God, I'm coming apart!
A book of it, then turned to a bunch of movies of it.
28 days after the Lutz family moved into their dream house, they were running for their lives.
So 28 days later, a new family moved in.
What happened to them is an experience in terror you will never forget, and you will believe
in the Amityville Horror.
But part of the foundation for the Amityville Horror's runaway success was laid by Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were contacted by a local TV news station looking to prove that the Amityville house was indeed haunted. Ed and Lorraine arrived in March of 1976, which was after the Lutzes turned tail and left, but more than a year before Jay Anson's book was published, and long before Hollywood got its hands on the story. The news crew assembled a team of psychics to join Ed and Lorraine, alongside reporters like Marvin Scott and a host of photographers. The plan was to hold a televised seance, giving people at home a front row seat to an investigation they hoped would be billed as definitive proof of the afterlife. Just imagine the TV ratings. But the definitive proof part was certainly debatable.
As a reporter, I have to tell you, I did not see anything. I did not feel anything other than the reaction of Ed, Lorraine, the other psychics, and the other people around me.
As expected, in the absence of a big show of paranormal activity, the psychics in the room more than made up for it, particularly Lorraine Warren, who made the most elaborate claims despite a complete lack of evidence.
It was a horribly foreboding type of a feeling throughout the whole house. You knew that this house was infested by something other than human spirits. That's for sure. I hope this is as close to hell as I'll ever get.
Which is a very cool line for a movie one day. But it doesn't really mean anything, does it? I get a foreboding feeling every time I see a dude with a mullet mustache combination. But does that mean that there's dark energy lurking behind him? Only sometimes. For all of the non-psychics in attendance, the only hell they experienced in Amityville was a sense of wasted time.
At 2 a.m, I remember Marvin Scott turning to me and saying, "We don't have it." In other words, this was not The Exorcist for television.
Well, at least we have the movies.
We'd hoped to discover if the killings had been motivated purely by anger, or if, as Ronnie DeFeo testified in court, he had been under the influence of something demonic.
Even though the TV cameras didn't live up to the supernatural hype, there was one item that managed to outlive the empty spectacle of the made-for-TV seance. A photo of an open doorway snapped by an automatic infrared camera.
Basically, the story take place during like the Conjuring 2 movie, the Amityville.
Camera on a tripod that appeared to show a ghost boy with glowing white eyes eerily creeping around a corner. Many believe the boy in the photo was the ghost of 9-year-old John DeFeo. But skeptics argued the so-called boy was actually an adult man, Paul Bartz, no, not Paul Blart, an investigator working with the Warrens that night. And yeah, the pattern on Paul's shirt matched the pattern on the supposed ghost boy's clothing, and yeah, clearly Paul was wearing a plaid shirt that night, and the white eyes are probably just light reflecting off of his glasses. Since the image on the right was captured with an infrared camera, and the image on the left was taken with a normal camera, the colors appear lighter in the doorway image, as this guy, Kenny Biddle, was able to prove with some simple tests. Despite Lorraine's insistence that she felt something in the house, eventually, Ronnie DeFeo himself admitted on multiple occasions that his claims of demonic influence were outright lies. He also said that he knew the Lutzes before the murders. They would often head into New York City to score drugs together. That explains a lot, actually. According to DeFeo, the Lutzes smelled money when the murder story became a national news item.
Amityville itself is just a story, the whole thing. It's a hoax to make money.
Yet, somehow after this, the Warrens still doubled down, reframing their lack of evidence as the audience's lack of faith.
They call the Amityville Horror a hoax. It was no hoax. This is the atheists. These are the people that don't want anybody to believe that such a thing as a haunted house exists or a ghost. Simply because if you believe that, you're going to believe there's spirits. God is a spirit. Angels are spirits.
All of this begs the question. Did the Warrens cling to these ideas because they truly believed them? Or were they holding on so tight because it helped their bottom line? Personally, I think it's the latter. But whatever you believe, the Amityville phenomenon made it clear that there was real money to be made in the demon fighting business. Seems obvious now, but at the time, they did not have 17 seasons of Bleach to prove this fact. Ed and Lorraine would spend the next 2 decades...
I realized everything is a business. The paranormal, church, stores, everything that we can make money of it.
Perfecting their hustle, and the pushback on the holes in their earlier cases was not enough to stop them from going worldwide.
You, just you, building your app on Base 44.
There was something that spoke to Ed and Lorraine Warren in Amityville. I don't know if it was ghosts, but they definitely sensed dollar signs. The two had a new business model: lose the lectures and go straight to mass media, TV, books, and eventually movies. All the Warrens had to do was pick the right story, then sit back and watch the money roll in. The Warrens did just that, and it started in Enfield, North London.
These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
You are haunted by Ad. Yeah, it does. Ad want my money. Rudy, do you want to get sponsored by Suno to make AI music? Oh gosh, that Mary signed up already. Why need? Anyways, yeah. Go back to the topic. So this took part The Conjuring 2 in England.
I was going to ask the same questions I asked earlier. How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know, a joke.
How many really are there, Marvin?
I think so far we've had 10 sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute rubbish.
The story of the Enfield poltergeist reads like a checklist of British horror tropes from the archives of Hammer Horror. There's furniture hurled across rooms, window curtains with an appetite for suffocation, a child channeling the voice of a dead man, disembodied whistles, unnaturally cold rooms, and literal bumps in the night. All of it centered around a single mother, Peggy Hodgson, and her 4 children. Her 2 daughters, Janet and Margaret, bore the brunt of it, with 11-year-old Janet allegedly speaking in the raspy voice of Bill Wilkins, an elderly man who lived and died in the Enfield house before.
Yeah, she was possessed by a demon. Real life and also in the movie.
Before the Hodgsons moved in.
Let me hear you say my name. That's not my name. Let's hear you say Dr. Belloc. Dr. Belloc.
Desperate for help, Peggy called neighbors, then police, with one officer signing an affidavit claiming that she saw a chair levitate, an account that helped propel the case from local concern to national curiosity. Soon, reporters crowded the small home with cameras and microphones, turning it into a public stage. A stage made all the brighter when a photographer from the Daily Mirror captured what are widely considered the most enduring images from the haunting, aka pretty much definitely a girl jumping off her bed. Like, come on.
Oh my God. The levitation of those girls. They would levitate.
I remember being pulled from my bed. I felt like a cold hand feeling and pushed up into the air. It was like a force, and I was screaming.
And they'd levitate, crisscross in the air.
Holy crap, it's like Lorraine is getting paid to make those noises with her mouth. Oh my God. The levitation of those girls. All right, pay up, buddy. In 1978, Ed and Lorraine Warren entered the...
Crazy. That's funny. Yeah, true. Okay, guys. I see a girl. Levitation. And also, you should describe to the Big Rudy Show. And yeah, you get best content. Talk about horror. Not paid up. Give me more money. Give me my money.
Picture, not at the request of the British investigators or the Hodgson family, but by inserting themselves into an already crowded field. Ed Warren framed it as a demonic infestation, saying inhuman spirit phenomena were in progress. You couldn't record the dangerous, threatening atmosphere inside that little house, but you could film the levitations, teleportations, and dematerializations of people and objects that were happening there, not to mention the many hundreds of hours of tape recordings made of these spirit voices speaking out loud in the room. Obviously, they couldn't actually back up those claims with anything, so they had to fake it instead. Investigators from the Society for Psychical Research in the UK pointed out inconsistencies, exaggerations, and moments of outright fakery, like when the girls were caught bending spoons or banging a broom handle on the ceiling to make knocking sounds. It was considered a pretty clear picture of a tense household full of attention-starved children with a father complex and an overworked single mom struggling just to keep up. This wasn't a case for ghost hunters, it was a case for a family psychiatrist. So in marched the ghost hunters.
I've done research all over the world. I never charged for anything I did. What happened wasn't good. I needed to help them.
Please stop making the mouth noises, Lorraine. I am begging you. Like the Amityville case a few years earlier, a book was pumped out as fast as the ink-bled pages could dry called This House is Haunted. Only this book was written by Guy Lyon Playfair, a member of the British SPR and one of the original paranormal investigators in the case. He claimed that the Warrens showed up uninvited, stayed one whole day, then left, but not before mentioning how much money they could make from the haunting. Compare that to the way that The Conjuring 2 portrayed the story almost 40 years later in 2016, where the Warrens get top billing and the movie is marketed with the tagline, "From the True Files of Ed and Lorraine Warren."
Your name gives me dominion over you, demon. I condemn you back to hell!
In the movie, we actually see the Hodgson girls faking an incident, but the Warrens realize there's actually also a real demon and come back to banish it. My biggest issue with the Conjuring films is their insistence that they are true stories, which I'll get to later, but at least this one has one true part. The part where Ed and Lorraine still try to stick with their story after it's been debunked. This, by the way, is the case that makes me believe that their lies were malicious, and not just a case of confirmation bias, where someone interprets something based on their existing beliefs. They were presented with proof that the haunting was faked, but still went ahead and tried to portray the staged media captured there as genuine evidence of the otherworldly. Then they basically fled after one day. They'd been seen there.
So basically, they stay for one day, like, oh, I don't know if it's real or fake. Let's go leave and make our money.
And that was all they really needed to make up their story. Ed probably didn't want to get punched in the face again if he stuck around too long. While most of the Warrens' famous cases got a lot of attention because they were at least tied to reality in the sense that they involved real people and places, there's also a reason to believe that they have stories that are completely fabricated. Like this one about a college student who came to visit the museum in the 80s.
A group of college students came one day. One of them said there's nothing but a bunch of bunk. I don't believe in it. He went over to the Raggedy Ann doll, which is in a case, knocking on it. He said,
oh yeah, I heard this before watching it. Like the guy didn't believe him, and a couple hours ago before leaving, when he left, he died in a motorcycle accident. If I ever remember the correct of the story.
this doll can't do anything. I dare it right now to put slashes on me. I put him out of the building. Less than 3 hours later, that boy was dead. His girlfriend, who had been with him on a motorcycle, said he was laughing about the doll, smashed into a tree, head on, was killed instantly. His girlfriend was in a hospital for over a year.
It's a story that still persists today and being retold by the current owner of the museum. Myself and others have tried to find evidence that corroborates this story. Surely there would be a police report or a hospital record that backs this up. But no, as far as I can tell, it's completely made up. But I do like the way Ed says, it's nothing but a bunch of bunk. It's just funny to me for some reason.
There's nothing but a bunch of bunk. I don't believe in it.
So basically, if we have the medical or the toxic report of it, if it proves it's true. But they're none but fake news.
Back on American soil, the Warrens' next major headliner surfaced in 1981 in Brookfield, Connecticut. But unlike their usual fare, the focus shifted from haunted house to possessed man, delivering the husband and wife team their first proper trifecta: national headlines, a book deal, and a pair of movie adaptations. All of it hinging on the bloody knife wielded by 19-year-old Arnie Cheyenne Johnson. On February 16, 1981, Johnson stabbed his friend and landlord, Alan Bono, with a pocket knife more than 20 times, the first murder on record in Brookfield's 193-year history. The grisly case also marked another first. Johnson claimed that he didn't remember the attack, and when he was charged with murder, he became the first person in American history to enter a non-guilty plea by way of demonic possession.
I was totally exhausted. I couldn't even stand up. I was on this bench. And I asked him, I said, why am I here? What's going on? What's going on? And they said, well, you just killed your friend.
I found this site called box.gg that'll let you unbox packs on their site and they'll ship the physical cards straight to you.
5 months before the killing, Arnie Johnson had moved into a small house with his girlfriend, Debbie Glatzel. It was the first time Debbie would live.
Oh, this is the third movie of The Conjuring. The Devil Make Me Do It. I remember, yeah.
Apart from her parents and 3 brothers. The day before the big move, the Glatzels arrived at the new place to tidy up before the furniture was delivered. Her youngest brother, 11-year-old David, claimed that he felt a strange presence while sweeping the floor that knocked him off of his feet. Over the next few days, the boy began to exhibit disturbing behavior that made his parents believe that he was possessed by the devil. Desperate for answers, the Glatzels had David examined by psychiatrists who found nothing out of the ordinary. I think those psychiatrists should be fired. When David's condition worsened, the Glatzels rang Ed and Lorraine Warren, using the same phone number you heard them offer up earlier in the video. Safe to say the marketing campaign worked like a charm. The Warrens wasted no time, arriving at the Glatzel home and declaring that David was infested with as many as 42 separate demonic entities. Apparently, he needed an exorcism. Personally, I would have recommended maybe trying to...
So So it was 42 demons inside him.
Link him with a friend his age before jumping to exorcism. The oldest brother, Carl Glatzel Jr., who will henceforth be referred to as Carl's Jr., I don't make the rules, that's just how it is, wasn't so convinced that demonic entities were the issue.
Every night they had the cameras ready, the microphones ready. It turned into a show. Instead of focusing their energy on helping David, record them. Everything could have been done differently.
He claimed that the growling, obscenities, and convulsions didn't start until after the Warrens came and explained the symptoms of demonic infestation. He felt that David was led on by their explanation of what he was supposed to do. Carl's Jr.'s skepticism deepened with every new encounter with the Warrens. But it was his father, Carl Sr., who struck the final blow that shattered his belief in the ghost hunters for good.
All of a sudden, my father came out. You hear slap. He goes, now I said to stop. And sure enough, the devil sat down and was very quiet. So I'm glad at least he listens to my father.
Carl's Jr. later stated in no uncertain terms, my brother was never possessed. He, along with my family.
So Carl Sr., he wanted to smoke with the devil and slap him.
Was manipulated and exploited, something the Warrens were very good at, and along with their author, Gerald Brittle, they concocted a phony story about demons in an attempt to get rich and famous at our expense, and we have the evidence to prove it. The Warrens told my family numerous times that we would be millionaires, and the book would help get my sister's boyfriend, Arnie, out of jail. I knew from day one it was a lie, but as a child, there was nothing I could really do about it. So, perhaps motivated by the promise of profit sharing, the exorcism went on. Now, according to the story featured in the movie, during the exorcism, Arnie offered himself to the demon in David's stead.
Leave it alone and take me!
And the curse seemed to be broken until February of the following year when Arnie was charged with first-degree murder. So it sounds like the demon was transferred from David to Arnie. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure the part about Arnie offering himself in exchange for David's freedom was made up by the Warrens and their book guy, Gerald Brittle. Because this claim only showed up later, after the homicide. As far as I can tell, there are no recordings, and the only witnesses are Ed, Lorraine, and Debbie Glatzel, the woman who defended Arnie after allegedly having an affair with the man that he killed and then proceeded to marry him. I'm sure she can totally be trusted not to be biased. So no, I don't think it's a crazy theory to assume that this whole demon transfer thing was just a convenient explanation for his crime invented by the Warrens. On October 28, 1981, the trial began in Connecticut Superior Court. A devil trial just in time for Halloween. Nice. Arnie's fiance and defense team remained loyal.
I've always said it from the beginning, Arnie's innocent. He's been to hell and back.
But the prosecution was equally rigid in its belief that Arnie Johnson was a deliberate killer.
This is a case which the media has and the Warrens have spent a good deal of time publicizing for their own, I would suspect, the financial interest. But as far as I am concerned, this is a routine to the extent it's possible to have a routine homicide.
In the end, the judge ruled in favor of the prosecution, saying talk of demons and possession had no place in a court of law. Arnie Johnson was convicted of the lesser charge of manslaughter and sentenced to 10 to 20 years.
So no one did not believe in him at first because the devil was living in him. So he's lying. So basically the judge sent him to jail for murder degree.
Prison. He served only 5 years and even married Debbie while still behind bars. The Conjuring 3 makes it look kind of like the demonic possession defense was part of the reason Arnie got hit with manslaughter instead of the more serious crime of murder. But it wasn't because of that. It was because Arnie eventually changed his plea to self-defense. They leave this very important detail out of the movie. Just weeks after the Arnie Johnson murder trial produced a guilty verdict, the Warrens partnered once more with Gerald Brittle, author of The Demonologist, to write a new book based on the case. Brittle was brought to the Glatzel home, where he asked some questions to familiarize himself with the family's experience. But Ed's account clashed with the Glatzel's memory of what went down. Allegedly, when Brittle tried to push back on this, he got steamrolled by the Warren money machine.
Ed said, make it scary. And he goes, but I checked with the people and they said this didn't happen. Ed goes, make it scary. People come to us. They buy scary.
Ed himself is starting to sound kind of scary. As Brittle locked himself away to write the book, the Warrens produced a contract, promising the story would produce millions of dollars in profit. The family reluctantly signed, and the result was 1983's The Devil in Connecticut, a true retelling of the Glatzel's ordeal immortalized in paperback. The same year, a made-for-TV movie called The Demon Murder Case starred Kevin Bacon, just a few years after he took that spear to the throat in the original Friday the 13th.
The house. The lovers. The boy. The killer. And a family fighting for its very survival. In the world premiere movie, The Demon Murder Case, a week from tonight.
And decades later, Brittle's adaptation got the big screen treatment in 2021's The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Between the book, lectures, television appearances, and movie adaptations, the Johnson-Glatzel case did generate millions of dollars, but almost none of it went to the Glatzels.
Lorraine told me I was going to be a rich little boy from having this book deal, and that was...
So basically, you get the movie, you get the book, everything, but the family didn't get nothing. So what they do? Lorraine get the profit.
was a lie. The Warrens made a lot of money off of us. If they can profit off you, they will. They're not going to pass up that deal.
Remember, someone I know, Eric Shunking, Batman the Sun, Legend of Our Dragon. Everyone more, agree. Ed and Lorraine, one more, agree.
In 2006, David Glatzel and his brother Carl's Jr. sued the Warrens, the author, and the publisher on the eve of the book's reprint. They said that the book was filled with lies and the Warrens' claims of demonic possessions were a complete hoax.
Welcome to the trap, mouse!
The legal complaint filed by Carl's Jr. and David Glatzel directly challenged the Warrens' claims. It said the book contained the following false and defamatory subject matter: that David Glatzel was possessed by demons, and that Carl Glatzel Jr. was influenced by demonic forces into committing assaults and batteries on members of the Glatzel family and others. The case was dismissed, though, not because the court accepted that David was possessed, but because it was too late to bring legal action for the original book release, and the reprint didn't qualify as a new thing that they could sue for. Now, to be fair, the David Glatzel side of the story seems to be kind of a mess. In a 2023 interview, David switched up again and said that he actually was possessed by the devil, but he still believes that Ed and Lorraine were world-class con artists. Carl's Jr., on the other hand, still maintains that the supernatural element was a hoax. He blamed his mother, Judy, for the whole mess. After her death, he and his wife came across her old notes and discovered that she'd been secretly drugging the family with a powerful sleeping aid called Somanex for years. The pills were notorious for their severe side effects, like violent mood swings and hallucinations. Carl thinks it's very possible that after years of ingesting the stuff, his little brother's so-called possession was actually a tragic byproduct of a prolonged exposure.
I believe my mother used Somanex to control all us boys and my dad. At the end of the day, if everybody's tired and exhausted, guess what? Everybody's going to rest and just sit down. There's no more problems.
I guess that one backfired. Maybe next time just try white noise and a weighted blanket. Or try watching that movie Night Swim. That should push you right out. But what about Arnie Johnson? Carl also rejects the idea that Arnie was possessed by a demon. He argues instead that Arnie was possessive of Debbie, who is rumored to be having an affair with the victim, Alan Bono, just before he was slaughtered, which officially makes this probably the worst thing the Warrens have ever done. They were fighting to put a murderer back on the streets because it made a better story for their book. You could very well say that they actually contributed to the murder by feeding into a delusional person's beliefs that demons are responsible for a person's own bad behavior. And they manipulated those close to the situation by promising them money that never came. It's reported in the documentary, The Devil on Trial, that the Glatzels got $4,500 for selling their story, while the Warrens made upwards of $81,000. And that doesn't include the derivative media that came after.
So the family made $41,000 and Ed and Lorraine made $84,000. Am I correct of the math?
Made upwards of $81,000. And that doesn't include the derivative media that came after. You would think the boldest, craziest thing they did would be in one of those small haunted house cases before they were famous, and that they'd take less risks that could harm their reputation now that they knew that the spotlight was on them. But no, they're like the YouTube prankster who just keeps escalating and escalating, and then all of a sudden they're spending 9 months in prison for harassment. Only it's not like that, because the Warrens aren't the ones going behind bars. They just move right on to the next case. And that was the Smurl family in Pittston, Pennsylvania. In 1986, after more than a decade of alleged disturbances, Ed and Lorraine declared their modest duplex.
Yeah, this is the Smurl family. That's the country for
site of a demonic infestation.
It's very powerful. It's invisible. I don't care if you want to call it a devil or a ghost or a demon. There's something in this home which has the intelligence to inflict physical and psychological harm upon this family.
Shouldn't you know what it is? Isn't that your whole entire shtick? Are they just getting lazy as they get older? The harm caused by this new presence was said to include disembodied screams and children and pets being thrown into walls, among other things.
Pick the mattress up and drop it very rapidly, like this. Like that. Like it looks like a carpet, just like a carpet, like you would, a housewife would have a carpet and shaking it out.
You go to bed waiting, listening to make sure that the children will not be hurt.
3 rounds of exorcisms followed before the Smurls said that they found relief, thanks in part to the Warrens' involvement. But plenty of naysayers emerged, like professional skeptic and philosophy professor Paul Kurtz, who spent much of his life taking a critical eye to religion and all things supernatural. He argued, like many others, that the Smurl story was a charade, mostly cooked up in the mind of Jack Smurl, who suffered a short-term memory loss along with phantom sounds and smells after a brain surgery meant to cure his meningitis. Kurtz said that the Warrens had no credentials in the scientific or parapsychological communities and should not be counted on as a credible source. Until some independent researchers visited the house, he said the story should be written off as a hoax. And when investigators from the Committee for Scientific Investigations of Claims of the Paranormal were sent to the Smurl house, they were turned away by Ed and Lorraine, who claimed that they lacked credentials. Sounds to me like they learned from their past experiences and didn't want outside voices conflicting with their narrative. So they shut out all of the outside voices. But that didn't stop people from observing from a distance. The amazing Kreskin, a celebrated mentalist, aka a magician who creates the illusion of mental abilities like mind reading, precognition, and telepathy for entertainment purposes, offered his own take.
Wanted to show that individuals who are frightened, confused, and don't know the source of a phenomena can easily misconstrue what's going on. The point of the matter is, you don't need real spirits. If you don't use trickery or physical means, you can use the power of ideas. A person who can influence human behavior can also alter reality and not use any trickery by the power of suggestion.
None of this kept the Warrens from another payday. The Smurl story was chronicled in the 1986 book of The Haunted, with a made-for-TV movie of the same name released in 1991. In 2025, it was the basis for the 4th Conjuring film, Last Rites. It earned the highest worldwide opening for a horror film of all time when it released. The pattern emerged yet again in 1986, apparently a banner.
So I was right. So basically, the whole video talking about Ed and Lorraine, the whole, like the Conjuring 1, 2, and 3, and 4 story.
Year for the Warrens, when the demonologist and the clairvoyant were called to investigate Southington, Connecticut, which was the home of the Snedeker family. Long story short, when their eldest son was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer, the family packed up their things and moved to a new home near a cancer treatment hospital. But with Ed and Lorraine on their way, their son's illness was just the beginning of their troubles. Shortly after moving in, the Snedeker family reported shadow figures seen all throughout the house, violent apparitions punching and tripping anyone in their path.
So none of this is not part of the Conjuring movie. This is a story I never heard before.
The presence also featured violent mood swings, the persistent smell of rotting meat, and mental flashes of necrophilia. That's not even like a haunting thing. It's just like a very, very clear sign that you have problems. It was later revealed that the house was once the town's funeral home. Embalming equipment and mortuary items were found in the basement, and the Snedekers claimed that they were never made aware of the home's dark history, which raises the question. Is finding embalming equipment just normal for them? Why didn't that raise any red flags at all? All of this culminated in what is possibly the most unintentionally funny episode of daytime television ever aired, courtesy of Sally Jessy Raphael. Basically, Sally Jessy Raphael was this talk show host in the 80s and 90s who looks kind of like Aunt Gladys.
Al, you say strange things were happening to you and Carmen at night when you were in bed. In order to fully understand, we want you to show us what happened. We have a bed here today that is about the size of the bed, which was in the house. So we're going to set the scene.
Wherever you think this is going, it's worse than you thought.
Now you're about ready to tuck in for the night when all of a sudden you hear music like this. What happened next?
Well, Sally, the music would wake me up at night. I'd be sound asleep. I would hear the music playing and I would say to myself, what is that? And I would lie there for 5 or 10 minutes and listen to it.
Not only is this whole...
So basically, the guy heard music there in the nighttime.
Entire scenario bizarre, but suppose just for the sake of the argument that he actually was violated by a ghost. Why are you bringing in the bed, recreating the scene, and making him relive it to such excruciating detail?
I felt this strange sensation coming over my body. Before I had a chance to reach over to Carmen to tell her something was wrong, I was froze. I couldn't move. And then I felt this stinging penetration in my...
I will stop him right there before he finishes that sentence. The whole thing feels less like a real program and more like interdimensional cable. Adding to the circus were Ed and Lorraine Warren, because of course they refused to be left out of the episode. Together, they tried to defend the Snedeckers from hostile disbelievers in the audience and on stage who accused the family of selling a lie.
You're sitting here talking about being raped and sodomized by some sort of entity, but you won't give a name.
I'm telling you what happened to me. I'm not telling you. You gotta believe me.
We had investigators.
Telling you what
Were you
happened.
in the house?
No,
I was standing.
Not to be outdone, Joe Nickel, one of the Warrens' loudest critics and an investigator on the Amityville case, was also on stage, seated right next to Ed, ready to drop his 2 cents.
You're a loudmouth, Warren, and we all know it, but if you'll just let me finish.
Oh man, I think Ed wants to smoke.
When you're concerned, I'm a loudmouth.
Go ahead, Joe.
Try to show a little
Joe,
class.
I
You're
don't
on
have a
national
lot of
TV.
time.
No, I'm not going to
Just-
give class to somebody who's
Ed,
sitting here.
let
You'll
Joe,
have nothing but lying.
Ed, let Joe just explain.
Be careful who you
point
call
by
a liar.
point.
Well, what
Go
would you do
ahead.
about it?
A revised version of the spat was recreated for The Conjuring 2, but with a little less bite.
Listen, Ed Warren's never seen a house that he didn't think was haunted. And by the time his wife is done blowing smoke and ringing bells, they've got everybody else believing in ghosts too.
What exactly are you a doctor of anyway?
Interesting how the movie adaptation tries to make us question the credibility of Joe, whereas the actual clip was more of an attack on Ed's credibility.
Come on, Warren, try and show a little class.
I'm not going to show class as somebody who's sitting here telling lies about my wife and me.
And again, the real clip shows Ed trying to defend himself for being a liar, whereas the movie paints Ed as the noble husband going to bat for his wife.
Careful who you call a liar.
What are you going to do about it?
The Snedecker case, like the Smurls and Perrins before them, proved the Warrens were not going to be derailed by their critics. Despite these accusations of fraud, they
Ed wanted to smoke again.
inked another book deal, In a Dark Place, The Story of a True Haunting, which was released in 1992. It wasn't until 2009 that this one got a movie adaptation, though, with the release of The Haunting in Connecticut. About a month after that movie hit theaters, author Ray Gartone, who co-wrote In a Dark Place with Ed and Lorraine, was interviewed about his time working with them. When I found that the Snedeckers couldn't keep their individual stories straight, I went to Ed Warren and explained the problem. They're crazy, he said. All the people who come to us are crazy. That's why they come to us. Just use what you can and make up the rest. You write scary books, right? Well, just make it up and make it scary. That's why we hired you. If that sounds familiar, that's because it is. Gerald Brittle was given the same marching orders while writing The Devil in Connecticut. The same was true of all of the writers who authored and co-authored books with the Warrens, operating under the guise of nonfiction. And for years, that system held, and the accusations of fraud did little to slow down their growing paranormal empire. It was as if the only thing that could slow them down was death itself. On August 23rd, 2006, Ed Warren died at his home in Monroe, Connecticut at the age of 79.
So Ed passed away in 2006.
Lorraine, his wife of the past 61 years, was at his side. As they were getting up there in age, they had already begun to gradually pass the torch on to their son-in-law, Tony Sparrow, the husband of their daughter, Judy. After Ed's death, Tony began to oversee the New England Society for Psychic Research and the Warrens Occult Museum. For a moment, it looked like the Warren story might finally be over, without its chief pitchman and loudest defender to steamroll critics and to drum up excitement for another investigation. But Ed probably never could have predicted that his fame hadn't even come close to peaking in life. 7 years later, in 2013, Ed and Lorraine's name and likeness was resurrected on the screen thanks to horror director and creepy doll enthusiast James Wan.
I've been a big fan of Ed.
Hey, James Wan is a great entertainment director, producer. Cause you know he did? He bring Saw into the movies franchise, like Jigsaw, John Kramer. So
Lorraine Warren for a long time. Doesn't matter what kind of research you do about the supernatural or the paranormal, at some point you're bound to come across their names. I always thought that their life story would actually be very cool to tell. And so, you know, it was just one of those things that I thought I'll keep an eye out. If anyone's ever actually making a story about them too, I'd love to have a shot at it.
I've always had the feeling that James wanted to bring the Warrens to the big screen, but couldn't get the rights at first or something, so he decided to do the completely fictional Insidious movie first.
Insidious, I love the Insidious. Also, who play, I forgot her name, but she's gonna be in a con pretty soon. So I think what con is gonna be at Monsterpalooza, or I think Monsterpalooza.
Features a very Lorraine-like psychic and medium called Elise Rainier, and even has a different character named Lorraine as a potential tribute. Juan didn't want to just make another ghost story or another supernatural film, but he was interested in The Conjuring because it was a chance to tell a story based on real-life characters, which I think is totally fine, and it's kind of cool that there's a distinction between his two ghost franchises. Insidious uses fictional characters and made-up monsters, while The Conjuring fictionalizes real people, and its spirits are based on real people and demons depicted in existing grimoires. The thing I have an issue with is the way that it's promoted. It's always based on the true case files of the Warrens, or based on a true story, or their true story was kept a secret. I mean, I guess that last one is accurate. But no, it's not the story or case files that are true to life, it's the Warrens themselves that actually exist. And to be clear, I'm not upset about the Warrens being fictionalized for the movies. I mean, why would I be upset about something that I already see as a work of fiction being included in a work of fiction? You could have just said, based on the stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and called it a day. But no, they had to go ahead and claim that the stories and case files themselves were true. By saying that, you were implying that witches, ghosts, and demons really exist. You're saying that people really got air-yeeted when they did not. You're saying a demon threw a chair through the air and it exploded. No, you don't get to call that a true story, and it's disrespectful to every other biopic out there that tries to make their movie accurate to the person's life. The Conjuring isn't the first movie to be guilty of this, but it's one of the most egregious, as I've explained throughout this entire video. Anyway, Lorraine Warren was a consultant on the project and even showed up for a brief background cameo.
The infestation, that's the whispering, the footsteps, the feeling of another presence.
Suddenly, millions of people around the world knew their name. And just as suddenly, they started reaching out, calling on the real Lorraine Warren to help alleviate their spiritual crises. Lorraine was elderly by then and no longer able to travel the way that she once had. But she had a grandson named Chris McKinnell, a self-described pastor and paranormal researcher.
After the first Conjuring movie came out, we were getting requests for help from all over.
Hey, you should get them to come to your show. Some paranormal activity people
over the world. And I went to my grandmother and I said, Graham, you know, nobody's ever heard of New England in places like Mongolia, but there's still a need there. Everywhere in the world has heard of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I want to keep your work going and I want to expand it around the world.
Lorraine loved the idea, and together, she and her grandson launched the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research in 2014. The idea was to make a non-denominational network of investigators from every corner of the globe. Though, according to the website, it's just Chris and this one other guy in Canada. The mission statement was to continue the Warrens' work free of charge. They put free in all caps on the homepage so you know that they're serious. If you're wondering, Chris makes his money off of merch, donations, and podcasts. I don't know if he's really continuing the Warrens' legacy in terms of paranormal investigations, but the site is full of red flags, so at least we can take solace in the idea that he's continuing their work of swindling people. And if you're wondering why he made a whole new foundation instead of just rebranding the existing New England Society for Paranormal Research, it seems like maybe Chris McKinnell isn't on the best terms with his father-in-law, Tony, and the Warren Legacy Foundation was Lorraine's way of allowing her grandson to profit on the valuable Warren family name, since she had already given the museum to Judy and Tony.
We have nothing to do with one another. Tony is a man who doesn't really understand the paranormal.
Yeah, they're not getting along, him and Tony. Ed's son-in-law.
He interviewed my grandparents, he helped them on lectures, but he's never worked on a case in his life.
By the time The Conjuring 2 hit theaters in 2016, Ed and Lorraine were firmly cemented in pop culture as the first name in paranormal pageantry, graduating from investigators to icons. But the cracks in the facade were still there, waiting to be uncovered. There were several lawsuits regarding the legal rights around the Conjuring franchise, and reporting connected to that litigation brought renewed scrutiny to the Warrens' personal lives. Judith Penny, the teenager who started working for them in 1963, provided a sworn legal statement during this period. To be entirely clear, there's no evidence that Judith is telling the truth with what I'm about to say, but you'll see why I brought it up in a little bit. In 2017, reports surfaced about her claim that she'd had a 40-year affair with Ed Warren that began when she...
So yeah, so that's the history, you know, how Ed had sex with her when she was 15 years old.
She was just 15 years old and Ed was 37. She said Lorraine was fully aware of the after dark things that were happening between the two. And to keep the relationship hidden, Penny said that she was moved into the Warren household full time, where Ed would alternate between her and Lorraine's beds on different nights. As far as the public knew at the time, Penny was a charity case that the Warrens took in when no one else would help her. Sometimes they'd even refer to Penny as their niece. But her testimony claims that Ed got her pregnant and Lorraine urged her to get an abortion because the backlash to a scandal of that magnitude would cripple the family business. I'm sure you are well aware of how much super religious Christian people love abortion. Penny also claimed that her role wasn't limited to maintaining appearances at home. She said Ed enlisted her help in staging paranormal evidence. Like, for instance, while investigating a cemetery in 1990, Judith claims that she was asked to put on a white sheet, Scooby-Doo style, for a case where Ed declared that he'd caught a ghost on camera. This is the footage, and it's obviously just complete garbage. I don't see where the ghost is even supposed to be, so it doesn't exactly corroborate Judith's story. But that wasn't even the worst of what Penny had to say about her former employers. The accusation that probably would have hurt Ed and Lorraine's image the most was the one that claimed that Ed was physically abusive towards Lorraine. Judith Penny mentioned one especially violent episode where Ed backhanded Lorraine so hard that she was knocked out cold. Penny said, "Some nights I thought they were going to kill each other." It's a far cry from the film depiction of the couple, where they're so in tune with one another that the patterns on Ed's tie and Lorraine.
So Ed was abusing Lorraine, the real life, not in the movie.
Skirt are almost always matching. Though there was that one scene in The Conjuring 3 where Ed gets possessed into seeing Lorraine as an evil entity and goes after her with a knife, but that's probably a coincidence and not an attempt to adapt a real event to film. Penny never sued the Warrens, nor did she intend for her story to become public. But after the explosive success of The Conjuring, a group of disgruntled authors and producers came out of the woodwork with a wave of lawsuits. None were larger than the $900 million suit filed by author Gerald Brittle, who claimed the franchise violated the rights that he held from his 1980 book, The Demonologist. In the crossfire of those legal battles, Judith Penny's name was mentioned as part of a vendetta meant to destroy the Warrens' wholesome reputation. Again, there's no more evidence for Judith's claims than there is for the existence of evil demons who can pluck you out of thin air. Obviously, the Warrens were very rich and famous, and in the age of the internet, fame and money will always attract alligators looking for their own piece of the pie. What makes this sus is that Penny didn't go after the Warrens herself. She only gave a statement for other lawsuits. You could still chalk that up to her being a disgruntled employee looking for revenge, but what is also very sus is the contract that Ed and Lorraine had with New Line Cinema before the creation of The Conjuring. Already 10 steps ahead, Lorraine made sure to add provisions in her movie deal that restricted any on-screen depiction of her and Ed engaging in sex with minors or extramarital affairs, which, to me, feels very weirdly specific. I don't know if it's common to just have provisions in a biopic contract that bar the depiction of illicit activity just in case, but it certainly seems weird. Because why would a ghost story about exorcising an evil witch involve the protagonist engaging in relations with minors? I'm not going to say anything more on it, but it's just weird. Lorraine's attorney denied the allegations, and the lawsuits over the rights to the franchise were ultimately settled out of court, and The Conjuring went on to be the most profitable horror movie franchise of all time. As with many Warren controversies, the issue died pretty quietly. Not unlike Lorraine Warren herself, who died in her sleep on April 18th, 2019 at the age of 92. The lasting narrative around their career was that she and Ed investigated some...
So Lorraine passed away in 2019 in bed with sleeping.
10,000 cases of suspected hauntings in the US, Japan, Australia, and Europe. I suspect even that number is made up, because if they did one case per day, that would be over 27 years of nonstop work. But there's no way to really verify. Her on-screen counterpart, actress Vera Farmiga, honored Lorraine with a heartfelt Instagram post, saying, "I was so blessed to have known her, and I'm honored to portray her. Righteousness was her breastplate, and she has touched my life, so. Love you, Lorraine, you're waltzing with Ed now." Back here on this side of the veil, someone had to take up the mantle, a responsibility that fell, as I mentioned, to the Warrens' only child, Judy, and her husband, Tony Sparrow. And I think Tony unintentionally said it best.
People used to say to Ed Warren, "Oh, you're only in it to make books. You're only in it to make the limelight, to be on TV or to be in the newspaper." You know what Ed used to say? "You're damn right I am." He said, "Because now I'll do anything I can to expose the devil. That the devil exists."
Absolutely.
Because the biggest success that the devil ever had is convincing people that he doesn't exist.
Today, Ed and Lorraine rest inside a shared burial plot at Stepney Cemetery. But given everything that I've gone over for the last hour, what is their legacy? On one hand, they absolutely shaped modern ideas about demonic hauntings, inspiring an entire genre of supernatural horror stories. As much as the religious horror space may be oversaturated, there's no denying that it's impactful. Whenever the topic of Ed and Lorraine comes up, I always like to start with the positive. They were really good storytellers and artists. In a world where so many subpar horror stories thrive on atmosphere and lack conflict,
Yeah, I feel like they're good and they're bad. The good side, they make great stories of the cases, but the bad, we find out.
the Warrens basically had the storytelling chops to march into any house and frame the situation as a supernatural conflict. Audiences have clearly responded to their stories, and that takes talent. But, on the other hand, they were ruthless in their pursuit of stardom. They exploited the poor, scammed the people that they were supposed to be helping, prevented people from getting actual...
And the bad is scamming people. If you're poor, we're going to scam you. They want to make money. They're greedy.
help from their real issues by framing them as paranormal problems, left their co-authors feeling undercompensated, spread fear for profit, I guess that's what I do too, perpetuated lies, ruined the reputations of innocent people, manipulated children, attempted to have a murderer go free, and made weird noises with their mouths that I don't like. Whatever you believe, one thing that can't be debated is what they revealed about fundamental human nature. People don't want the truth. They want a good story. And Ed and Lorraine Warren sure had an interesting story, even if it's a bunch of bunk.
There's nothing but a bunch of bunk. I don't believe in it.
I have a second channel where I talk about pop punk and metal band history. If that's of interest to you, check out Pumpkin Metal, link in the video description. But if you can't get enough Conjuring lore, check out the video on the left where I go over the complete history of the Warrens' prized possession, Annabelle. And if you love horror, make sure to subscribe to CZ's World for new horrors every week, ring the death bell, and select all notifications so you don't miss an upload, and I will see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.
All right, guys. What do you think about the history of Ed, Lorraine? Everything they did. Like, comment, and share. See you in the next video. Oh man, that video was long. I'll drop the link if anybody want to come up or not. I'll give you 5 minutes if you want to talk about Ed Lorraine case, Funko Pop, trading cards. I'll talk about the topic. Hit the link. If you do not hit the link, you want to smoke. All right, guys, go for it.
The night's alive again. Feel it under my skin. Yeah. Something in the dark is calling out my name. Every time the sun goes down, I feel the change. Heartbeat racing like a fire in my veins. Every moment turning pages in the flames. Electric in the air, feel the tension rise. City lights reflecting deep inside your eyes. Lost between the shadows and the skyline glow. This is where the broken hearts ignite the show. I feel the energy burning inside of me. We're gonna set this free tonight. Let's light it up tonight, like a meteor burning through the sky. Won't fade into the night. We're diamonds in the dark, we're gonna shine. Light it up tonight. Let the fire in our souls collide. We won't fall without a fight. So light it up tonight. Yeah. in your chest. Every doubt in my head getting laid to rest. We were stuck in the shadows, living half alive. Now we're breaking through the dark just to finally rise. See the sparks in the sky like a signal flare. Every voice in the crowd saying we're still here. Every scar, every loss turn the spark to a flame. Now the whole world's burning when they scream our name. We were lost in the noise, trying just to survive. Now the sound of the night makes the moment ignite. So we strike like lightning when the beat drops down. Turn the fear into fire when the world shuts down. The energy breaking the chains in me. We're gonna set this free tonight. Let's light it up tonight. Like a meteor burning through the sky. We won't fade into the night. We're diamonds in the dark, we're gonna shine. Light it up tonight. Let the fire in our souls collide. We won't fall without a fight. So light it up tonight. Your eyes shining through the night. Your voice pulling me to the light. My head keeps spinning, the world keeps shifting. But we won't disappear. Let's light it up tonight, like 1,000 stars across the sky. We won't fade into the night. We're burning brighter every time. Light it up tonight. Let the darkness finally ignite. We won't fall without a fight. So light it up tonight. Yeah.
「犬のすでに生まれた少女」「勇気の弱いば夢は希望」「心の力負けはしない」「正義の道を今進む」「ゴリラの力狐の炎」「ペンギンの速さ風のよう」「他の爪はピーバイの光」「パンダは誓う正義の守り」「Oh, oh, oh, 互闇はヘビの裏」毒の企み忍び寄る恐れを超えて立ち上がれ七の力なつぶき杉の五心一つになれ月と太陽の下で戦えの里が手を取り合い闇を越えて輝け伝説は続いてゆく名を刻めその魂愛で切り優しさで守るこの世界を救うために夜が冷たくても恐怖が迫っても彼女は思い出す守るために戦うことを最後の錆びるゴリラで常にペンギンからに噛んだ心は一つ熱熱の声を上げろ空を越えて伝説になれ
Alright guys, so no one want to hit the link. So see you next time when I go live again. Peace and love. See you in the next video. So I'm going to end the stream. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.